and welcome to the regular Birmingham City Commission meeting of May 19th, 2025, here in the Municipal Building at 151 Martin Street. Would you please all stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Bingham, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Long?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Baller?
Here.
Commissioner Emerine is absent. Commissioner Haig is absent. Commissioner Host?
Here.
Commissioner Anthony Long?
Here.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Here. Thank you. We now move to proclamations, congratulatory resolutions, awards, appointments, resignations, confirmation, administration of oaths, and introductions of guests and announcement. And we have a wonderful guest this evening. We have Senator Mallory McMorrow for a legislative update. So welcome, Senator McMorrow.
Thank you very much. Presentation is up here.
It's going to be?
Okay.
Yes.
You can come up here and do the clicking.
Fantastic.
Well,
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Good to see you all. I know we have a very exciting evening tonight, so I'm going to keep my update very brief. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. I want to start with an update on my first bill that was ever signed into law, which created Michigan's red flag law, the extreme risk protection orders. I will not go through all of the details, but one element that I did want to note, Michigan's red flag law allows for law enforcement officers to work with judges or family members to create an emergency order that allows for the temporary removal of firearms from somebody who is deemed an immediate risk to themselves or others. This is particularly useful in instances where somebody is suffering from a mental health crisis. And I want to point out just one example. In Royal Oak, the city where I live, the Royal Oak Police Department was able to utilize an extreme risk protection order to remove firearms from the home of one man who was in the midst of a mental health crisis, who had barricaded himself into the home with his wife and 2 young children. By removing firearms from this situation and working with Oakland County's CORE program, the co-responder program that allowed them to institute mental health support for the situation, they de-escalated the situation, and now this gentleman is getting the mental health support that he needs. So we've seen a lot of great success with this law in its first year in use, and we're happy to share the scale report with all of you if you'd like to look more into the details of this law. I'm going to jump ahead. There are a number of updates here in your packet, Commissioners, that are in front of you that detail currently the state Senate is in a lawsuit against the state House, which is not a normal business of affairs, but that is the political climate that we find ourselves in. There were 9 bills that were passed the end of last term that were not delivered to the governor for her signature, and the Senate filed a lawsuit against the state House because the Constitution does not allow for the legislature to determine whether or not to send bills to the legislature. The Constitution states very clearly that the legislature shall present bills to the governor that have been passed by the legislature. So this legislation is ongoing, and I think one of the bills of note in here would allow for our corrections officers to participate in the Michigan State Police pension program. This is something we know that we have a shortage of corrections officers here in the state of Michigan, and I think it is critical that we move forward to ensure that we have the best in what is a very, very challenging job. Additionally, in your packet, you will see details on the earned sick time and minimum wage law that went into effect. If you paid attention to the headlines, it could be very confusing to understand what actually went into effect and in law here in the state of Michigan. But now, as of February, small businesses must provide 40 hours of paid leave to all workers, larger businesses up to 72 hours of paid leave. This does not roll over into subsequent years. And of note on the minimum wage, the minimum wage will increase to $15 an hour by January 1st, 2027. And as of February 1st of this year, the minimum wage is now $12.48. Something that we heard from many of our restaurant owners and tipped workers was that they did like some version of the current tip credit system. So through negotiations, the tip credit will remain in effect and increase to 50% of the minimum wage by January 1st, 2031. For a point of clarification, the tip credit allows employers who have tipped workers to pay a sub-minimum wage so long as the workers earn at least minimum wage through their tips. So they are required by law to make up that difference if the tipped worker does not make enough in tips to make the earned minimum wage. And we've increased resources to LARA to be able to enforce this regulation. Where are we at in the budget process? This is the most important update that I am here to share this evening. For those of you who have worked with me for a number of years, I try to tell all of my commissioners and local municipal officers that the budget cycle is ongoing, so please keep me apprised of all budget needs, concerns throughout the year. We keep our list of budget requests for the state budget constantly updated. The budgets have just passed out of the Senate. Budgets have not passed out of the State House yet. The Constitution in the state of Michigan requires that we complete our budgets by October 1st. However, over the past few years, we have completed our budgets by July 1st to allow for our schools to plan for the school year ahead. That is our goal for this year. One thing that I do want to note is that 42% of our state budget is made up of federal funds. I serve on the Appropriations Committee, and we had one of my colleagues raise their hand and ask, is this going to be the year that we finally cut off our addiction to federal funds, as if somehow that was a grant or a handout? These are our taxpayer dollars, and I think for the residents who are here tonight, it's important to note that Michigan is currently known as what's called a donor state. So we pay more than our fair share of federal taxes compared to the proportion of federal dollars that we receive back. There are a lot of states, most notably in the South, that receive significantly higher percentages of federal dollars than what we in Michigan receive back. So I think it is critical we fight to get every single one of our dollars back from the federal government. But that really throws our state budget in flux. Unlike the federal government, we cannot run a deficit in the state of Michigan. We cannot go into debt. We are required constitutionally to pass a balanced state budget. So that means that a lot of the requests that we have put in for our local municipalities may not be received at the level that we are typically used to over the past few years. I've been proud with the amount of money that I've brought back into our district. So just want to be aware that that may be impacted if we do see significant cuts on the federal level. We will have to roll that into our state budget. Some of my legislative priorities for 2025 is compelling the state to create a 10-year comprehensive economic development strategy. I am currently the chair of the State Senate Economic and Community Development Committee. Believe it or not, we do not have a strategy in the state of Michigan. This is a relatively new process, so that would consider an economic development strategy that centers things like raising median household income, the accessibility of affordable housing, health outcomes, and local revenue sharing, and much more. And with that, again, I know that we are here for a much happier reason than a legislative update, so I want to keep it short and open it up to the commission if there are any other questions and there are more details of other items of note in the report that is in front of you.
Any commissioners have any? Commissioner Host.
Yeah, Mallory, could you address the Woodward noise, specifically the House Bill 5696?
Certainly. You will see that on this slide here. Representative Natalie Price introduced legislation last term that would allow for significantly more local control on Woodward noise. I know that people watching at home may not see it, but I'm going to do it just for fun. Show of hands in the audience. Who is very annoyed by the noise on Woodward Avenue? Don't be shy. I know you all are. I used to live right behind Trader Joe's on Woodward Avenue, and from just about March until I want to say the first warm day in November, it sounded like there were gunshots going off. It was incredibly loud. So that legislation stalled out at the end of lame duck last year. I've worked with Representative Price, who has informed me that that is still on track for us to reintroduce that legislation this term. She's had some productive conversations with members of the Republican caucus in the state House now that we are in divided government where Democrats control the state Senate, Republicans control the state House. We know we need bipartisan support for legislation to pass. So her strategy, and it's one that I agree with and support in the Senate, is I'm building stakeholder support in the Senate so that if that bill does pass out of the House, that we have a pathway for passage in the Senate and hope to get it to the governor's desk this term.
Super. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions from commissioners? No.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much, Senator McConnell.
Please email if we can do anything or if we can answer any questions. And just as a reminder, we do a quarterly mayors and city managers meeting in my office that any member of the commission is welcome to attend in case the mayor or city manager are unable to. So I look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our next item is a proclamation in recognition of National Public Works Week. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of Birmingham citizens. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th annual National Public Works Week, now therefore be it resolved that with this official proclamation, I, Therese Long, Mayor of the City of Birmingham, on behalf of the City Commission, citizens and businesses of Birmingham do hereby designate the week of May 18th, 2024, May 18th to 24, 2025 as National Public Works Week. We also have a proclamation declaring June 6, 2025 to be Gun Violence Awareness Day. This proclamation declares Friday, June 6 to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day in the city of Birmingham to honor and remember all victims and survivors of gun violence and declare that we as a country must do more to end the public health crisis. Because whereas every day 125 people in the United States are killed by gun violence and more than 260 are shot and wounded, with an average of 19,000 gun homicides every year, and whereas people in the United States are 26 times more likely to die by gun homicide than by people in other high-income countries, and whereas Michigan has 1,421 gun deaths every year, a crisis that costs $16.8 billion across the country, and whereas Michigan has the 27th highest rate of gun deaths in the United States, and whereas support for Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from those who are a danger to themselves as others, and whereas in January 2013, Hadia Pendleton was tragically shot and killed at age 15 on June 26, 2025, we recognize her 28th birthday and encourage people across the United States to recognize National Gun Violence Awareness Day and wear orange in tribute to Hadia and other victims of gun violence and the loved ones of those victims. I, Therese Long, Mayor of the City of Birmingham, declared the first Friday in June 6, 2025, to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day. We now move on to appointments, which is introduction and swearing in of new police department personnel and citations and awards. Chief Gruey.
Good evening, and thank you for having me and allowing us to be here today to introduce our officers to you and our staff from our police department, not only our new members, but some promotions that we recently had. But before I do that, I just want to make mention real quick that last week was National Police Week. National Police Week started back actually in 1962 when John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation which designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as National Police Week. National Police Week pays special recognition to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. In 2024 in the state of Michigan here, we lost 5 police officers to the line of duty. Trooper Joel Pop of Michigan State Police, Deputy Bradley Reckling of the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, Deputy William Butler of the Hillsdale County Sheriff's Office, Corporal Mohammed Saeed of the Melvindale Police Department, and Motor Carrier Officer Daniel Kersetter of the Michigan State Police Department. Please join me in a moment of silence to remember them and the dedicated service to our communities. Thank you. As we start my program that we have today, we're going to start with some introductions of our new staff. As many of you know, we've had a lot of retirements in the police department in the last 12 months. We've had 5 retirements, 4 of which are promoted positions. Our recruitment team has been extremely busy replacing positions, attending not only job fairs, but police academy, social media posts, and everything we can do to try to replace the people that we lost with high-quality professionals, which I believe we've done for sure. First, I want to introduce, unfortunately, he wasn't able to be with us today, but we have a new parking enforcement officer by the name of Gary Gashuti. Gary is a federal officer who retired in 2024 after serving the United States Customs and Border Protection. He holds a bachelor's in business administration and graduated from the Federal Law Enforcement Academy. He started with our parking program on March 13th, 2025, and unfortunately he wasn't able to be here, but I wanted to introduce him for sure. Next up, if you come forward for me, is Jocelyn Jimenez from Parking Enforcement. Jocelyn was hired as a parking enforcement assistant on April 23rd of this year. She holds a bachelor's degree in marketing and a master's in logistics. She's also bilingual, speaking both English and Spanish. So welcome. Thank you. Next up, I have dispatcher Taylor Hicks. Can you come on up? Taylor holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Downey University. Her father is in law enforcement and currently works for the state police as a motor carrier officer. Taylor interviewed with our department and was selected as a part-time dispatcher and started on January 15th. She's excelling in our communications training program and is expected to be completed soon. Thank you, Los. Next up, I have Auxiliary Officer Anthony Sanfilippo. I'm saying that right? I'm probably saying it wrong. Anthony attended the Oakland Community College and studied criminal justice and collision repair. He currently works in auto repair and served 1 year with the Royal Oak Auxiliary Program. He has future goals of serving a community in a law enforcement capacity full-time. He interviewed for our open position in the auxiliary unit and was selected by our department and was sponsored to attend the academy, the Schoolcraft Academy for auxiliary police officers. He graduated on May 8th and has begun with our program now. We're training with our auxiliary officers. Congratulations and welcome. Appreciate it. Next up, I have Officer DeLawrence Williams. DeLawrence holds an associate's degree in criminal justice from Oakland Community College and currently serves in the Army National Guard. He has served 11 years in the military, with 3 of those years being active duty. He was deployed twice with combat tours in Iraq and Iran. DeLawrence was hired by our department as a police officer and sponsored to attend the Oakland Police Academy. He graduated the academy and started with our department on December 16th. DeLawrence recently completed a field training program and has been certified for solo patrol. I'd like to invite his wife and his 2 daughters, London and Aubrey, up to pin his badge.
She's like, I'm out of here. You want to get that picture from this direction?
Looks good.
Next up, I have Police Officer George Toma. George received an associate's degree in law enforcement from Oakland Community College. He is bilingual, speaking both English and Chaldean. He has family in law enforcement, and his brother-in-law is an officer with the Beverly Hills Police Department. George attended the Oakland Police Academy and started with our department on January 6th. He is currently in our field training program and is expected to complete this soon. His brother-in-law, Jonathan Gemmel of the Beverly Hills Police Department, will be pinning his badge. The next two people we're talking about today are promotions that we've had recently as a result of some retirements. Stefan Seitz is the first one. Stefan was hired by our department in July of 2015. He holds a bachelor's degree from Michigan State University in geological science. Stefan is a certified police motorcycle operator and an evidence technician. He was also the department's first ever drone pilot and has played a significant role in making that program what it is today for us. Stefan participated in the promotional process and was promoted to sergeant on February 24th. And retired Lieutenant Raymond Faze will be pinning his badge.
Wow. You want to get over here?
Next up is Rebecca Springer. Rebecca Springer was hired by our department in January of 2011. She holds a bachelor's degree from Ferris State University in criminal justice. Rebecca is a member of the department's crash investigation team, which is called SOCIT, which is South Oakland County Crash Investigation Team, and a field training officer. She was promoted to sergeant on July 13th of 2015. Rebecca was assigned to our investigations division in January of 2020 and has worked as a detective since. Rebecca participated in our promotional process and was promoted to the rank of lieutenant on February 24th, 2025. Her wife, Kelsey, will be pinning her badge.
I don't have a good angle.
Clip on.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move on to the awards portion of our ceremony here tonight. But before I get started in the awards, I just want to take a moment to recognize several members of our agency. When I wanted to bring back our award program, which has been absent for about 20 years, I wanted to make sure that it was done in a way that we were being transparent, fair, and equal representation of all members of the police department. So to do this, we created an awards committee, and I asked members of the department to vote for their peers on who would represent them on this committee. And I want to recognize those that were elected for those positions because they spent a lot of time over the last 6 months revamping our awards policy and going through countless calls for service, reports, videos to make these nominations for awards. So I'd like to recognize Lieutenant Mike Simpson, Sergeant Anthony Paredes, who was unfortunately not able to attend, Sergeant David Buttigieg, don't believe he's here either, Dispatch Manager Steve Brzezinski, and from our clerical staff, Brandy Youngvall, who is over there. So thank you for all your work in making this possible. The first awards that we have up are an award that is called a Certificate of Merit. A Certificate of Merit is to be awarded to a police officer or other uniformed employee for outstanding performance of duty under unusual or difficult conditions. The action need not involve exposure to physical danger, but must involve unusual thoroughness, conscientiousness, determination, initiative, or meritorious action of a nature which would not be eligible for a higher award. First up, I have, this is from a series of incidents. I know we've talked before, you probably heard in the news all the retail fraud thefts that were going on with Lululemon. And basically, this is our investigation team that had a huge crack in that case. We have Captain Chris Cook, Detective Sergeant Houston, I'm sorry, recently retired Detective Sergeant Houston, Detective Sergeant, Lieutenant Springer, I'm sorry, we just spoke.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Springer, Detective Sergeant Buttigieg, Sergeant Bouchard, and Sergeant McCannum. So while investigating a series of retail fraud crimes originating from Lululemon retailer in Birmingham, through multiple arrests and interviews, detectives were able to identify key suspects of interest who had been receiving stolen merchandise and coordinating the distribution of the illicit goods for profit. After extensive surveillance and follow-up investigations by our team, a search warrant was obtained for several rooms at the St. Regis Hotel in Detroit. Upon execution of the search warrant, detectives uncovered a large quantity of stolen Lululemon merchandise, including high-end activewear and accessories. Detectives were able to gather additional evidence and identify key players organizing this criminal enterprise. Due to the large-scale nature of the case covering multiple communities within Michigan, the case was turned over to the Michigan Attorney General's office, which now has the responsibility of prosecuting the suspects involved. This case highlights the increasing sophistication of retail theft rings, where stolen merchandise is often funneled into gray markets and sold at a significant profit. The men and women here displayed excellent teamwork and exemplary performance throughout the investigation, which ultimately led to a successful infiltration into a large-scale organized retail fraud theft operation that affected so many communities. Thank you for your hard work and dedication in this case. Also, for a certificate of merit, Sergeant Anthony Paredes, who's unavailable to be here with us tonight, and Officer Mike Pranger. In October 24, Sergeant Paredes and Officer Pranger responded to an address in Birmingham for the report of a suicidal female. A check of the residence determined the female was not at the address, but their investigation did not end there. Sergeant Paredes and Officer Pranger were able to gather additional information and determine it was probable that the female was actively attempting suicide. Officers utilizing flock cameras and other law enforcement databases were eventually able to monitor a phone call between the friend and a suicidal female for over an hour. While monitoring the phone call, they noticed the demeanor of the female changing negatively. They were able to determine that she was likely near an outdoor park. Officers initiated an exigent circumstance phone ping for the female, which showed her location to be in Farmington Hills. Sergeant Paredes and Officer Pranger notified the Farmington Hills Police Department and updated them on the ongoing investigation and provided them the phone ping locations. The female was ultimately located in Heritage Park in Farmington Hills, unconscious and in critical condition. Sergeant Paredes and Officer Pranger completed a thorough investigation using every investigative database available to them in an attempt to locate the female. They are being commended for their actions and dedication to going an extra mile to ensure the safety and welfare of a suicidal female, even after it was determined she was not a Birmingham resident. Thank you for your attention. Also, a certificate of merit, Lieutenant Alex Linke. In September of 2021, the Birmingham Police Department responded to a residence for a drug overdose death of a 19-year-old Birmingham resident. Lieutenant Linke, who was assigned to the Oakland County Narcotics Enforcement Team at the time, investigated the incident and determined the narcotics purchase was facilitated through Snapchat. Lieutenant Linke tracked the source of the narcotics and identified the suspect as a 24-year-old male from Detroit. During an extensive multi-year investigation, detectives learned that the suspect was selling counterfeit prescription pills laced with fentanyl. A search warrant was executed at a Detroit residence by the Narcotics Enforcement Team and the Oakland County SWAT Team, which resulted in the seizure of multiple forms of narcotics, firearms, body armor, and currency. In December of 23, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office authorized criminal charges on a multi-count arrest warrant against the suspect for delivery of controlled substance causing death, delivery manufacture of a controlled substance, and felony firearms weapon offense. In March of 2024, Birmingham detectives located the suspect and took him into custody on the warrant. Lieutenant Linke's exhaustive work on this multi-year investigation led to the successful apprehension of a dangerous criminal and provided much-needed justice to the family members of the 19-year-old Birmingham victim.
Oh.
Thank you, Alex. Next up, again, another certificate of merit. This is Officer Brett McCumber and Dispatcher Misiak. On August 27, 2024, Officer McCumber was on patrol in the downtown area when he observed a suspect crossing the street carrying a brand-new portable Generac power station. Officer McCumber noticed that the male did not appear to be dressed in construction clothing and was walking away from an area with a high concentration of construction sites. As Officer McCumber approached to investigate further, the suspect dropped the power station and fled on foot. Officer McCumber and other officers began searching the area for the suspect. Dispatcher Misiak, utilizing our citywide camera program, determined that the suspect had fled into the community house, while the suspect shoved an innocent person to the ground and caused a large disturbance before exiting. Dispatcher Misiak continued surveillance via the camera system and was able to locate the suspect in Shane Park and directed officers to his location to take him into custody. After arrest, it was learned that the suspect had stolen the Generac power station from the Troy Target location at Coolidge and was currently out on tether for previous crimes. The suspect was ultimately charged with retail fraud, resist and obstruct, as well as assault and battery for his actions in the community house. The proactive action taken by Officer McCumber and the proficiency in navigating the technology of the camera system by Dispatcher Misiak and excellent communication skill led to the coordinated, successful apprehension of this suspect. Up next, we have the Community Service Award. The Community Service Award is to be awarded to an officer or other uniformed employees who have contributed a valuable service to the community through their performance and/or engagement with community members. Factors to be considered shall be acting as a volunteer, solving community problems, and providing quality service aimed toward improving the quality of life of our citizens. First up, I have retired Lieutenant Raymond Faze. The Birmingham Police Department is committed to consistently giving back to our community, and as lieutenant, it's important to demonstrate to your platoons all the attributes that make a great leader and officer. Lieutenant Faze has demonstrated that commitment. In 2024, Lieutenant Faze expanded a program that he had been quietly doing for several years to the rest of the department. He told me, and I learned, that during the holiday seasons, he advised that he was purchasing gift cards and handing them out to members of the public that he encountered through foot patrols and traffic stops. In 2024, to get more involved, he asked for donations from department staff to expand his gift giving by utilizing additional donations from fellow employees. After receiving donations, Lieutenant Faze bought numerous gift cards and distributed them through the department staff to participate in his giving program during the holiday season. This simple gesture by Lieutenant Faze went a long way in building trust and positive relationships with the community. It speaks to not only his professionalism, but also his strong character. These actions not only left a lasting impression on those he encountered, but also members of the department that followed his example and participated in this program. The gift card give-back efforts sparked by Lieutenant Faze undoubtedly benefited numerous citizens and exemplifies the dedication and service to community tradition, which the Birmingham Police Department prides itself on. Thank you, Ray Faze. Also for the Community Service Award, Dispatcher Joseph Misiak. The Birmingham Police Department Adopt a Senior program was formed in 1996 when department personnel saw a need to assist local senior citizens by providing companionship and assistance when needed. Most of these seniors have no nearby relatives or support systems in place. The Adopt a Senior program was established and began assisting seniors with performing household chores like snow shoveling, leaf cleanup, running small errands, and connecting seniors with various resources within the area. Over the last 4 to 5 years, Dispatcher Misiak has taken ownership of the Adopt a Senior program and works tirelessly to routinely organize lawn and home cleanup events. He also ensures routine contact is made with each senior enrolled in the program and takes time to speak with them on birthdays and special occasions. The goal of this program is to better the circumstances and lives of each senior in the program, and Dispatcher Misiak is the catalyst behind making this possible. We thank Dispatcher Misiak for his continued efforts, making our Adopt a Senior program a success. The next award we have is a departmental citation. A departmental citation is to be awarded to a police officer for outstanding performance of a difficult task involving personal risk to the officer's safety, when, because of the officer's action, a serious crime is prevented or the perpetrator is apprehended. For this award, we have Sergeant Zale, Officer Pranger, and retired Officer Jeff Whipple. On Saturday, February 24th, 2024, at approximately 9:45 p.m., Birmingham cars were dispatched to Kroger for the report of a suspect who had committed an armed robbery and threatened employees with a firearm. Sergeant Zale was quickly on scene and confirmed the reported information with employees, obtained brief visual surveillance of the suspect, and pushed the suspect direction of travel to responding units. Officers responded and began searching the area on foot. Officer Whipple quickly located the suspect, who was hiding behind a line of tall bushes and a brick wall in an attempt to conceal his whereabouts. Officer Whipple relayed the suspect location to responding units and began giving verbal commands and kept containment of the suspect until Officer Pranger and Sergeant Zale arrived. The armed suspect refused to comply with officers' commands. The suspect quickly advanced on officers from behind the bushes with an item in his hand and became physically aggressive toward them, attempting to kick Officer Whipple and Officer Pranger. In response to the subject's behavior, Officer Pranger appropriately deployed his taser, and Officer Whipple and Sergeant Zale were then able to take the suspect into custody without injury or further incident within minutes of the original 911 call. These actions, responding to an armed combative subject by Sergeant Zale, Officer Whipple, and Officer Pranger, allowed for the swift apprehension of the suspect and prevented the potential risk of a rapidly evolving high-risk encounter from escalating further. The next award we have, there's 3 of them. It's the Chief's Recognition Award. This is an award that's selected by the Chief of Police, me, or any member of the agency that has demonstrated exemplary service or actions that reflect positively on the department. First up is Officer Nicholas Crum. Oh, all right. First up is Captain Greg Wald. Should look behind me. Captain Wald has been with the department for 25 years and was promoted to captain in January of 2025. As captain, he is assigned to the Services Division, overseeing dispatch operations, parking enforcement, clerical staff, and almost all of the department's equipment and vehicles. The department's accreditation status was up for renewal in 2024. Captain Wald, as the accreditation manager, oversaw the process, which required providing proofs of over 120 standards for each of the past 3 years. Captain Wald managed the accreditation team, reviewed hundreds of incidents, policies, and videos to fill the proof requirement of standards for each of the tasks that had to be proved. And prepared for the assessor's on-site audit. As a result of his hard work and dedication, the police department was successfully reaccredited for an additional 3 years. In addition to this tremendous task, Captain Wald also oversaw multiple other large projects initiated in 2024. He was in charge of the purchase and replacement of all in-car cameras, body cameras, and tasers. Additionally, he has been tasked with overseeing the citywide camera project in the fall of 2024 that is replacing our old system and adding countless new camera locations, totaling approximately about 140 cameras. I'd like to tell Greg that in 2025 he might slow down a little bit, but we have several other large projects that he's likely going to be involved in coming up in this next year. So thank you, Captain Wald, for all your work and effort on this project. We'll look behind me this time. Officer Michael Pranger. Officer Pranger has been an asset since joining the police department in 2021. Due to his continued high-level performance, he was selected to become a field training officer and train multiple officers in 2024. To further serve his peers, Officer Pranger volunteered to become a member of the department's peer support team and is trained in critical incident stress management. He is consistently relied upon by younger officers as he has earned the respect of both his superiors and his coworkers. He has a unique ability to connect with members of the department and is well trusted to complete all tasks assigned to him. Officer Pranger has also received crisis intervention team training and was recently highlighted by the Oakland County Health Network for being, and I quote, an incredible CIT officer. OCHN went on further to state that his ability to de-escalate individuals who are in a crisis and his willingness to assist other jurisdictions with his skills and knowledge during difficult time is a great example for new officers and displays his leadership by handling scenes with compassion and empathy. Thank you. Now it's Nick Crum. Officer Nick Crum. Officer Crum started with our department in 2019, and he has consistently demonstrated proficiency of a high level, competence in profession, and proven to be a reliable officer. As a leader within our department, Officer Crum was selected to become a field training officer, and in 2024 trained multiple recruits. Also during 24, Officer Crum applied and was selected by our department to try out for the Oakland County Multi-Jurisdictional SWAT Team. According to the Oakland County, Officer Crum was a standout and finished #1 in their extensive physical fitness testing.
Right.
Officer Crum was one of only 2 applicants selected by the county to join their team after all testing was completed, and the first ever Birmingham officer to join the SWAT team. Thank you. Next up, we have Civilian of the Year. This is Jen Davis from our clerical team. Jen Davis has been with the police department for 27 years in our clerical department and is the police department's coordinator. Jen has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to all things in the police department, including our crime reports, general reporting systems, and all things clerical. She has always been and continues to be the go-to person to solve problems within the PD. When the awards committee met to make a recommendation for Civilian of the Year, it was a unanimous vote for Jen, as she undoubtedly has resolved issues for each of them and all members of our department during 2024. She's the type of employee that you can count on to be a step ahead of you. Often when I find myself going to Jen for something, she typically already has it done. Jen is extremely detail-oriented and is a huge asset in our police clerical position. So thank you and congratulations. And last but not least, our Officer of the Year, Task Force Officer Scott McIntyre. Task Force Officer, by that, for people who don't know, Scott is assigned to the FBI Financial Crimes Task Force. He works with the FBI in that, so that's what a Task Force Officer is. In 2024, the FBI Task Force Officer Scott McIntyre showed exceptional investigation skills in securing convictions associated with 2 major cases. Beginning in 2022, Detective McIntyre investigated an art gallery owner who defrauded over 10 victims across 6 different states by selling reproduced photographs as originals, committing insurance fraud, and retaining proceeds from consignment pieces. By completing a thorough investigation, Detective McIntyre helped secure the arrest of the suspect and seizure of stolen artwork. In September of 24, the arrestee was sentenced to 63 months in prison for defrauding victims out of $3.5 million in rare photographs. In 2023, Detective McIntyre also led a successful investigation into a male suspect who had coerced a female juvenile into sexual activity and obtained child sexually abusive material. Detective McIntyre utilized federal investigation techniques and collaborated with FBI Tampa office to effect the arrest of the suspect. In July of 2024, the suspect was sentenced to 252 months in prison. Since being assigned to the FBI Detroit Fraud and Financial Crimes Task Force, Detective McIntyre has demonstrated remarkable abilities across both financial crimes and child exploitation cases. His professionalism, versatility, and dedication make him an invaluable asset to our agency and the FBI Detroit and Oakland County Resident Agency. Detective McIntyre was nominated for the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police Distinguished Service Medal and was also nominated by the special agent in charge at his FBI field office as the FBI Task Force Officer of the Year in 2024. Officer of the Year, Scott McIntyre. That's all the awards I have for you. I appreciate you allowing me to take up this time and introduce all our amazing officers and staff members we have in the police department. I just want to once again thank everybody for all that you do, for all that you received awards, the newly promoted and our new staff in the police department. Thank you, and thanks for the amazing work you do for the city of Birmingham.
Let's have a final round.
For anybody that would like to join us, we do have some stuff set up downstairs for some refreshments and some opportunities for some photos. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for your service. All right. While the
Thank you, Ray.
honorees are exiting, I wanted to make an additional announcement just to say that Birmingham had a wonderful family-friendly weekend this week. We thank the police for staffing all of the events. We had the DPS open house on Saturday. We had the ice show, and we had probably the fullest Celebrate Birmingham parade that I've ever seen, with great attendance and a fantastic after party. Thank you, Bloom Pediatrics, for the kites and everything else. All the events were very well attended, more families and children than I have ever seen. And I want to thank the clerk's office for a great job corralling all the people and lining us all up for the parade, the DPS staff for the open house, the DPS staff and the ice arena staff. They were just all wonderful, highly engaging, welcoming, family-friendly events in Birmingham. So just a credit to the city for everyone's hard work. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we now have appointments, a few more appointments this evening. We have Bradley H. Klein to the Board of Building Trades Appeals as a regular member to serve a 3-year term expiring May 23rd, 2028. And this is a reappointment, so let us know why you're interested in continuing to serve, Mr. Klein.
Just a continuation of the hard work that this board actually does. We've never had to meet since I've been on the board. I was originally asked to do this by someone in the building department when we had a vacancy. So,
All right, well, we appreciate having you in the role on standby if you're needed. So would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Bradley H. Klein to the Board of Building Trades Appeals as a regular member to serve a 3-year term expiring on May 23rd, 2028.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And if you'll wait, the clerk will swear you all in at once. Well, then we have Mr. Harry Audi we want to concur with the mayor's appointment as a regular member of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. Is he in the room or online?
He's not in the room.
Not- And not online. So we will, nonetheless, this is also a reappointment, could we have a motion?
Move to nominate Harry Audi to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, or concur with the mayor's
Appointment,
choice.
yes. For a 3-year term to expire May 23rd, 2028. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then finally, we have Mr. Robert E. Taylor Jr. for a reappointment as a regular member of the Housing Board of Appeals. Mr. Taylor.
This city served me well for 30 years as a Realtor. I continue to want to give back.
Thank you. Could we have a motion?
I'll do a motion. I'll make a motion to appoint Robert E. Taylor Jr. as a regular member to the Housing Board of Appeals to serve a 3-year term to expire on May 4th, 2028.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Ms. Bingham will swear you both in.
If I can have both of you raise your right hand, you'll say, "I do" after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of this state, and endeavor to secure and maintain an honest and efficient administration of the affairs of Birmingham, free from partisan distinction or control, and perform the duties of office of Board of Building Trades Appeals and Housing Board of Appeals.
All those handshakes.
Housing Board, Robert, you're going to sign here. So sign there. And then Brad, you're going to sign me right here. I just didn't finish writing it.
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you for your service.
All right, now we are open to the public for matters not on the agenda. If you'd like to make a comment about an item that is not on this evening's agenda, you are welcome to come to the microphone, state your name and address, and make your remarks. If you are online and you would like to make a comment, please use the raise your hand function, and we will call on you. I see no one in the room and no one online, so we will move to the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and approved by a roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of the items unless a citizen or commissioner so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered under the last item of new business. Any items that a commissioner would like to pull? Any items that a citizen would like to remove? I see none. Anyone online? I see none. Could we have a motion, please?
Move the consent agenda.
Second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the...
Nope, okay.
Roll call.
Oh, excuse me. You are right. Roll call vote, Ms. Bingham.
Commissioner Host,
Yes.
Mayor Therese Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Katie Schaefer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Anthony Long.
Yes.
Thank you. And we now have the city manager's report. Ms. Ecker.
Yes, good evening. From the Baldwin Public Library, just a note that the library will be closed Memorial Weekend, this weekend coming up, from Saturday through Monday, and will reopen on Tuesday. They will also be closed on Thursday, June 19th in honor of Juneteenth. Some other comments from the library. They're currently working on the library's atrium, where there was a sealer that failed due to salt and water and so on over the winter, so they will be using the day that are closed on Juneteenth to make those repairs. In the future, they will have a walk-off runner, so they could catch some of that. Hopefully won't happen again. Also, the library indicates that they are having a busy month of May, as is the museum, because they're conducting 24 local history tours with each of Birmingham's second grade classes during the month, and they will also visit 47 different K-11 classrooms or school assemblies to talk about the summer reading program. Other events of interest at the library: the third Tuesday book club is coming up tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Tuesdays, every Tuesday from 10 to 11, they have ELL talk time, so basically English as a second language, where they come and they practice English conversational skills. Also, they have an after-hours teen study night with therapy dogs on Saturday, June 7th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And then the summer reading kickoff will be on Friday, June 13th from 3 to 5, where the library will have an ice cream truck. The kids can get their face painted, decorate the patio with chalk art, and get excited about the summer reading program. From the Birmingham Museum, as I mentioned, they have also been touring all second grade students through the museum this month. In addition, there is a new article that's coming out on Wallace Frost. If you haven't heard, I'll get into that in a few minutes, but one of their board members who also lives in a Wallace Frost home, and he's writing an article. His name is Mike Abelson, and he has been researching and writing this article on Robert Wallace Frost, who is a locally well-known architect. He has done a lot of homes in the 1920s era in Birmingham, kind of English Tudor-style homes. There are still many of them that exist in the city of Birmingham, and he did a look at Frost and what it's like to live in one of his homes. Basically, the purpose of this is to raise awareness of the importance of these historic homes and the benefits of preserving them. Also from the museum, they want to indicate that in celebration of Juneteenth, they will have a display in City Hall in the lobby. There's, I don't know what you call them, large panels that are mounted that basically talk about Birmingham's connection to the Underground Railroad network and Juneteenth national holiday. And basically there was some history that was recovered or determined that had some connections and some graves that were in the cemetery for freedom seekers. And basically with the museum's research, they have had us added to the burial sites added to the National Park Service's Underground Railroad Network to Freedom official register, and we had a public celebration back in 2022. From the Birmingham Shopping District, the Farmers Market is now open, and it'll be every Sunday from now through October 26th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you'll be seeing that every Sunday. It's always a popular event. A lot of people come out. Outdoor movie nights are also going to be starting in Booth Park on Friday, June 6th. Pre-show entertainment begins at 6:30 and the movies start at 7:30. All are welcome. As I mentioned previously, our BSD Executive Director, Erica Bassett, is representing Birmingham on a new steering committee for the Oakland County Tourism group, and they invite you to attend. There's 2 webinars that are coming up, a tourism diagnostic webinar that talks about the economic impact of tourism on Oakland County. There are going to be 2 sessions on the 21st, which is Wednesday, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, for anybody that's interested. Also, the BSD wanted to acknowledge that we've had 10 new retail and dining merchants so far this year in our downtown area. And in our business anniversaries, we have a program where we recognize businesses that have been in town for 5 years, 10 years, 25 years, 50 years, 75 years. This year we have 2 that are hitting the 75-year status, and that is Coldwell Banker, Weir Manuel, and Max Brook, both real estate offices. So congratulations to them. From the building department, there's an update in the report on some of the BZA, Board of Zoning Appeals cases that have come up recently, as well as a monthly report that you can click on and get all of the activity in terms of the permits for residential and commercial that have been pulled during this year. From the city clerk's office, we have just the listing of the 2025 election dates, which will be November 4th, the local general election. For anybody that's seeking to run, the petition filing deadline is July 22nd. And there will be an upcoming meeting of the Greenwood Cemetery Advisory Board on September the 5th. From the city manager's office, we have a shout out to Bruce Johnson, who was the building official here. He retired on May 15th after more than 25 years with the city of Birmingham. So his last day was last Thursday, and we had a nice send-off for him, lunch, cake, and a party afterwards. So there were a lot of people that were in attendance at that, and so he will certainly be missed. He did update a lot of the technology that was in use in the building department. So we thank him for his service. He'll be missed. Also, an update that Birmingham received the notification that we have received a SEMCOG Transportation Alternatives Plan grant in the amount of $2.2 million, and that is to help us on the bike lane project on South Eaton. So you will see that the design will be done through 25, so this fall through spring with construction next year. From the communications department, the summer edition of the Birmingham Beat will be mailed out in mid-June, so look forward to that coming. And then 2 new surveys that you can find on Engage Birmingham from the communications department. One, I mentioned the Wallace Frost homes a few minutes ago. We have Wallace Frost Trivia Challenge now on Engage Birmingham. And essentially, it's in celebration of National Historic Preservation Month, and so it can challenge you on your knowledge of Wallace Frost and his impact on the city of Birmingham. It's open through the end of the month. Also on Engage Birmingham, the Department of Public Service has a quiz on playground design concepts and a naming process for some of our parks that are coming up, specifically the Pump House Park and the West Lincoln Well Parks that'll be getting makeovers this summer. We are talking about does the community want to have a new name? What do you want the new playground equipment to look like? They're the first 2 of many residential neighborhood parks that'll be coming through with upgrades in the near future. So that survey is open through May 23rd, so the end of this week. Up next, after these 2 parks, is Poppleton Park, then Pembroke Park, and then further down the line, Crestview Park, Kenning Park, Howarth Park, St. James Park, and Linden Park. And these are all using the funds from the bond that was issued, and we will be looking at improvements in many of those parks. With regards to the Booth Park Entry Plaza and trail improvements, you know that you've approved the concept plan, or the final plan for that. They're working on the bid documents and specifications for that at this time. To be ready to execute an agreement, basically, we are waiting on the passing of legislation for the grant funding from the Michigan National Natural Resources Trust Fund. As soon as we receive that, we'll be ready to sign that agreement and ready to get going with that project. Also, from the Department of Public Services, a quarterly update on forestry. And I think you've all heard there have been a couple of comments at recent meetings about the city's process of trees and how we determine which trees need to come down and how we make sure we improve and basically improve and replant our tree supply. I just want to point out that the Arbor Day Foundation has honored the city of Birmingham as a Tree City USA for the 47th year in a row. And that means that we are installing new trees at a ratio, a good ratio with our population every year. And so we were granted that honor again. Also, for the first time, the city applied for and was awarded the Tree City USA Growth Award. And what that does, it's awarded to participating Tree City USA cities that demonstrate a high level of tree care and community engagement related to their tree care and protection of the tree canopies. So we are very pleased with that. It's a major award for us, and it shows that everything that we're doing is making a difference for our tree canopy, even though I know you do hear some comments from folks when they see trees come down, but we only take down those trees that are in need, that are a danger to the public, and then we do replant. This spring, we are going to be replanting 208 trees that'll be installed upon the various street right-of-ways and in the parks. And we do use our right tree, right place method of determining where to place them, where some have been removed, where it's in a good location in the easement, and it's not going to interfere with power lines so that the DTE doesn't come along and hack the tree, and also make sure that there's good spacing so the trees have enough room to grow and develop over time. Also, in follow-up to some of the communications that people have said about trees, when we plant a tree or when we remove a tree, we always communicate with the residents that are adjacent to the property. The trees are all in the city right-of-way, on city property, but if there's a homeowner that's adjacent to that property, they go up and they knock on the door. If they can't get anybody, they hang a door hanger, and the same is true when we plant new trees, so that we can advise them of what the requirements are and ask for their assistance in watering and so on. From the engineering department, everything is ramping up now with spring well underway, and we have a lot of projects that, if you recall, had to close early last year with the asphalt plants closing. So with Arlington, Shirley, and Brandon, the contractor is just currently working on some punch list items, and those should be completed by the end of the month. The concrete repair program for this year is up and running, and that is for residential area 7, downtown area 1A. Also, we'll be installing concrete pads for 3 new bus shelters, 11 new bike rack areas, sidewalk replacements in Shane Park, parking lot repairs at Fire Station 1, and scattered sidewalk, alley, and concrete street patches throughout the city. The 2024 resurfacing program was just recently completed on Ann Street in Henrietta. That was one of those that had to close up early last year. Also, the Cape Seal program, there is a team that is in town now starting work on that project and will continue through June. North Adams resurfacing project, that construction will begin at the start of June. They'll be mobilizing and setting up, and the construction starts on June 16th. Bird Phase 1A project will also start on June 16th. And then Consumers Energy, it's important to note that a lot of the projects that you see in the right-of-way are not necessarily done by the city, but often by consumers or other utility companies. And they're coming out to finish restoring areas that they had to rip up last year to make improvements. So you'll see them out on Birmingham Boulevard, Maryland Boulevard, Shipman Boulevard, and Washington Boulevard. Updates from the fire department. You may have heard about the BRIC grant, the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities grant that was awarded to the city. It's a reimbursement grant. We were going to put a flood wall up in Lot 6 down the north end of town to help with flooding. Essentially, the decision was made, even though we were awarded that grant, that there would be too much parking that would be removed. We would block private access to some of the buildings. There'd be a farmer's market temporary relocation. The cost was going to be high to share for our portion of the cost, and ultimately we decided not to proceed with it. Thankfully so, because the federal government on April 4th decided to cancel all BRIC grants, even if they'd already been awarded, even if communities had already spent some money to doing that work, and they were not going to repay them, and they took away all future funding, so leaving a lot of state and local governments in an unfortunate situation. Luckily, we were not one of them. Also, the fire department has some life-saving awards, similar to what you heard from the police department tonight. There was a team from the Birmingham Fire Department that on March 18th in the morning, they responded to a scene where there was a driver, 72-year-old male driver in cardiac arrest that had pulled over at the side of the road. They were able to save his life, and he made a full recovery. And they are now receiving an award from the Oakland County Medical Control Authority in recognition of their excellent service to Birmingham. And we want to thank Battalion Chief Alan Sove, firefighter paramedics Steve Benora, Sean Brown, and Robert Abraham, who did provide cardiac life support to save his life. Thank you to them. Also, a month later, on April 18th, which was Good Friday, we had another team that responded to a medical call. It was a female patient having a seizure, they thought at the time. It ended up that it was a 27-year-old female that was in cardiac arrest. Battalion Chief Tom Hughes and firefighter paramedics Steve Benora, Randy Bearden, and Brent Frederick provided advanced cardiac life support care. And again, that person also made a full recovery. So the city would like to commend them, thank them for all of their hard work in responding so quickly and saving those two people's lives. From the Human Resources Department, we've had a lot of new hires, mostly seasonal hiring at this time of year for the golf course and so on. We did hire one part-time parking enforcement assistant, which you did meet tonight earlier. That was Jocelyn Jimenez, and the rest of them have all been seasonal. May hiring anniversaries, we have several. There are 3 people that are celebrating more than 20 years with the city of Birmingham. Thomas Hughes, Battalion Chief. Gregory Wald with the police department, who you saw tonight, 25 years for him, 22 years for Battalion Chief Thomas Hughes, and then Bruce Johnson, who just recently retired, who celebrated 26 years with the city of Birmingham this month. Currently, we're seeking several qualified candidates for full-time positions: plumbing and mechanical inspector, senior engineering technician, and recreation coordinator with the Department of Public Services. So if anybody's listening that is interested in that, you can go on our website and you can find out all of the job postings that are there and apply at that time. From the Planning Department, an update from the Planning Board, what they're up to these days. They review site plans, they do study sessions, they do ordinance amendments. As you know, they've had 8 site plans so far this year, and they are planning to embark on the major zoning ordinance update that is in the budget coming up to start, assuming it gets approved, on July 1, and that'll be their next big project. One project I wanted to point out that is going before the Planning Board is 479 South Old Woodward, the Birmingham Tower, that building that's currently under construction. They are coming before the board on the 28th, so that's next Wednesday, requesting a modification of floor plans and parking requirements. So that will probably, it may end up coming to you given the ordinance that they're going under to get that approval. From the Historic District Commission and Design Review Board, as I mentioned, they are celebrating National Historic Preservation Month with the support and engagement regarding the Wallace Frost homes. They were actually at the DPS open house on Saturday as well, and I guess they had quite a few people come up and talk to them, including a person that happened to own a Wallace Frost home that may be interested in designating that home historic, so that was helpful. Also, the Environmental Sustainability Committee had their second meeting today, just before this meeting. They're beginning the process of implementing the recommendations of the Birmingham Green Plan. And of course, they're looking at the first thing that you sent to them, which was leaf blowers. So right now, the entire board is staffed for the permanent positions, but there are 2 alternate positions that are still open. And then I won't reiterate again, well, maybe I will, because I can't help myself. Police Department, you heard Officer Pranger. I think he came up here 3 or 4 times for awards tonight, but one of them is highlighted in here, and that was the award that he received, an officer highlight from Oakland County for his excellence in de-escalating individuals who are in health crisis, mental health crisis primarily, and all of his training and his help with other departments. So we thank him for that. Also, some updates on the drone program. You heard a little bit of a mention, the person who was responsible for starting it. We are expanding that program. You saw it if you were at the Celebrate Birmingham Parade and Party in Shane Park. They had it up, and they use it to monitor security and so on at special events like that. Also, they use it in cases. If somebody's, for instance, fleeing from law enforcement and they go into, say, down by the river where it's vegetated, they can use the drones to try to locate them. And in fact, just last month in April, we did have an officer from a neighboring jurisdiction that was assaulted, and they called us and we were able to use our drone and help them track down the person. We quickly located them and they were able to take them into custody. So it does come in handy in a lot of different instances, and we have more and more officers that are being trained on the drone now. Also, the police department is looking at adding GPS measuring tools, so they can also use the drone to investigate accident situations where they have it and they can measure how far it is, what's the length of the skid marks, for example, how fast was the car going, all of those things, to take precise measurements at accident scenes to help with their investigation. Parking systems update. Well, I don't think I need to say a whole lot on that because they're on the agenda tonight with BCT Design Group giving their update on the design recommendations for the Chesterfield parking deck, which will then be used to launch towards all 5 parking decks. And also just wanted to point out that the Birmingham parking system, we're getting a little more use in the decks as spring occurs. This happens every year. In fact, I believe May is one of our busiest months generally because the weather's getting better. Everybody wants to come out and they're walking around downtown and enjoying the city. So also at this time, I think there's been a lot of people that are returning to work that were on remote work over the last couple of years. So that seems to be contributing to it as well. So we do have wait lists at many of our parking garages, not long-term wait, you're not waiting too long, but there are wait lists. So we are seeing that. And we do have a monthly parking report available. If you click on the manager's report, you can get a report of how the numbers have been rising for the month of May. And that's it.
All right, thank you. We have been notified by members of the public that there's no sound on the cable television, but that the web sound is working perfectly. And Alex has,
I've talked to our cable person.
yeah, and it's apparently still not fixed.
Okay.
So, but you can log into the meeting through the web, and that sound is working fine. All right, so we move to unfinished business. We have none. And then we move to new business, and we have Nick Dupuy for a public hearing for 115 Willits. E Fiore Special Land Use Permit Amendment for an ownership change. I'm now going to open the public hearing. Mr. Dupuy.
All right, yes, thank you. Nick Dupuy, Planning Director, City of Birmingham. With a little deja vu, we were here almost a year ago, transferring the license for the same business, which is currently known as Mare Mediterranean. They're proposing to call it in the hopefully near future here, E Fiore. And I'm not quite sure why the double sell. I suppose if you have more questions about that, I'd deflect to the applicant team. But it seems as though that the previous purchaser, sort of a bridge between previous owner and now proposed current owner. As you know, this site is located on the south side of the Willits. They're sort of in the middle of the Willits building. And I note here that this transfer of ownership generally includes limited changes to the interior of the restaurant. I get a lot of feedback sometimes when I talk to, when I write the same way that I speak as an urban planner and in zoning terms. So I wanted to just clarify that in zoning terms, I think there is limited changes. I wrote it down, about 190 seats in there for Mare, plus 38 when they had the platform out. There's going to be about 170 in E Fiore, which in terms of that big restaurant space, very nominal. It's also not a bistro, so it's not beholden to any sort of theme or menu or cuisine. So for those reasons, that's why I use the term limited. I do understand there's renovations going in there. Booths are being replaced, some walls are being moved. There's construction paper on it, so it appears as though it's a full reno, but I've been advised that it's not. It's sort of just an ambiance shift from what was there to the new concept. Of course, along with these sort of transfers, the Birmingham Police Department does their own investigations. They go into the finances, and they also run background checks. Based on the report, there were no red flags or nothing concerning to the police department. Therefore, our suggested commission action is twofold. One, to approve the special land use permit amendment to make the ownership transfer, and from the police department to authorize the clerk to complete the local approval notice. I've been advised that the new ownership is on Zoom, but they do have a representative in the building as well, should you have questions.
Thank you. And would you like to make any remarks, or would the new owner like to make any remarks?
Good afternoon, or evening, went fast. I'm Kelly Allen here tonight on behalf of Abrazizi LLC, and on Zoom are the co-owners of Abrazizi, Luciano Del Signori and Nicole Antacli. Also on Zoom is Alex Soroki, the architect who drew this floor plan. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the name so that you know what's coming into your city. As you know, Luciano has a restaurant in town already. He is a phenomenal Italian chef, an authentic Italian chef. I fiori is the name that they are calling it, and it means in Italian, and flowers. And the name selected is meant to draw the client in with curiosity and present them with a really sophisticated and relaxed ambiance with the Italian lifestyle dining experience. A lifestyle dining experience is a situation where you have an exquisite dining experience. They're calling it an Italian garden, and inspired by floral immersion with fine dining Italian cuisine by Chef Luciano and his team. And no one wants to leave. They just want to come back for an encore. I don't know if that's Italian or not. But I have submitted to the board, the application for the change of ownership. I believe we've complied with all of the requirements there. Alex is online, Luciano and Nicole are online. If you have any questions for them or for me, we would be happy to answer them.
All right, well, in a public hearing, we first go to the public to see if the public has any questions for Nick or for the applicant team. And if you do, you are welcome to come to the microphone. If you have a question and you're online, please use the raise your hand function and we will call on you. I see no one in the room and I see no one online. So I'm going to close the public hearing. Do the commissioners have any questions for Ms. Allen or for the new ownership team for Luciano? They do not. All right. Then would someone on the commission like to make the motion?
Motion, if I may?
Certainly.
I'd like to make a motion adopting a resolution to approve the special land use permit amendment for 115 Willits, E4A, to transfer ownership and update special land use permit with the new owner of Breezy Hospitality LLC, and make a motion adopting a resolution to authorize the city clerk to complete the local approval notice at the request of a Breezy Hospitality LLC to approve the request for a transfer of the ownership of the Class C liquor license with Sunday sales, outdoor service area, dance and entertainment permit from a Breezy LLC. It says from LLC. I'm assuming that should be a Breezy LLC. From a Breezy LLC located at 115 Willits, Michigan, from Birmingham Omni Hospitality LLC to a Breezy Hospitality LLC that will be located at the same address. Is that right? That does not
No,
right.
let's have Nick
Yeah.
correct.
Thanks. Yeah, there's a chunk in here that you can just strike. It should read entertainment permit from Birmingham Omni Hospitality LLC.
I'm going to read that over then. I'll take that, I'll do that last part again.
Thank you.
And make a motion adopting a resolution to authorize the city clerk to complete the local approval notice at the request of a Breezy Hospitality LLC to approve the request for transfer of the ownership of the Class C liquor license with Sunday sales, outdoor service area, dance and entertainment permit from Birmingham Omni Hospitality LLC to a Breezy Hospitality LLC that will be located at the same address.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any comments on the motion from the public, either in the room or online using the raise your hand function? I see none. Any comments from the commission on the motion? I see none. Ms. Bingham, a roll call vote.
Mayor Therese Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Host,
Yes.
Commissioner Long.
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations. All right, now, next we have a public hearing for the Uniform Video Service Local Franchise Agreement with Comcast. And we have our council presenting.
We do.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. Good evening, all of you. I look forward to meeting each of you individually as well. My name's Tracy Gaudenzi from Bayer Howlett. So, this Comcast has...
Okay, let me open the public hearing.
Sure,
Thank you.
All right. Comcast has requested a renewal of a uniform video service local franchise agreement. In 2015, the city of Birmingham entered into a franchise agreement with Comcast, and essentially they're requesting that there be a renewal of that franchise agreement for an additional 10 years. Our ordinance, Section 3085, requires that first go to the advice of the Birmingham Area Cable Board, and they have issued a recommendation that that be adopted and entered into, and now this is a public hearing, and proper public notice has been issued.
All right. Is Comcast here as an applicant?
No, I don't believe they are.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the public about renewal of the franchise agreement? Either in the room or online, please use the raise your hand function. I see none, so I will close the public hearing. Any questions from the commission? I see none, so I'd like someone to make the motion then, please.
I will.
Sufficient to move the suggested resolution. I will move the suggested resolution.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments from the public on the motion, either in the room or online using the raise your hand function? I see none. Any comments on the motion from the commission? I see none. Ms. Bingham, a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Host,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Anthony Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Mayor Therese Long.
Yes. Thank you. All right, that concludes our public hearings for the meeting, this meeting. Our next item of new business, item C, is resolution to adopt the budget appropriation resolution. Ms. Chavez.
Good evening, City Commission. I would like to present the general budget resolution for 2025-26 fiscal year. We did revise the proposed budget that was presented at the public hearing on April 26th to be based on the feedback from the commission at that time. And we also amended the agenda to include last-minute changes to the library fund, and these are to their millage changes. At the budget hearing, we did present a proposed millage rate of 1.2931 for the library. However, a tax levy of 1.2789 is being approved by the library board this evening. That is a reduction of 0.0142 mils. So a revision to the Baldwin Library Fund has been made for the tax revenue, and that's on page 6. A revision to the contribution to the fund balance has been updated on page 9, and then an updated millage levy has been reflected on page 11 of the budget resolution. And these changes reflect a total of $52,140 reduction in the revenue and the contribution to the fund balance. So some of the other key changes that were significant and were made was, starting with the general fund, the assessing department's budget increase, that was $108,900 due to the rate adjustment that was approved by the Oakland County for their assessing services. Also, at the commission's request, the planning's department for wayfinding
budget, that has been increased from $50,000 to $260,000. In the local streets funds, we do have a transfer of $300,000 to fund the milling and overlay work on Cole Street. And then that addition was made after several of you emphasized the importance of focusing on pavement improvements. Please do note that funding for Oak Avenue is also already included for next fiscal year, and East Lincoln is scheduled for the year after that, fiscal year 26-27. And finally, in the sewage fund, we did receive final numbers from Oakland County Water Resource Commissioner, and the sewage disposal costs are coming in higher than we originally budgeted. And the increase is mostly tied to the higher maintenance costs for the drain districts, repairs and maintenance. So these are the changes that reflect the updated information and the city commission's priorities. The budget is now ready for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
For Mary.
Do we need to go to the public?
We will, but I'm asking the commission first if they have any questions. No? Ms. Ecker.
Just one quick comment. You had the draft budget that was presented to you approximately 2 weeks before the April 26th budget hearing. There will be a revised budget that shows all of these changes and also addresses a couple of the other comments that you made about summarizing some of the financial position of the city and so on. In that, if once approved tonight, there will be a fully adopted budget and you will get a new and final budget book for your viewing pleasure.
Ms. Ecker, could you address the, you and I have discussed it, but the mast arms that the city commission had, yes.
Yes, okay. So what happened there is we did look into it, and there are a couple of mast arms that are left to put up, but they have already been under contract. And the city commission voted on June 24th to adopt or to approve a contract with Dan's Excavating at that time for to do the remaining 3 areas with the mast arms. But the reason they haven't all been put up is because Dan's Excavating agreed to spread it out over multiple fiscal years for us. So the commission did approve it. And so in anticipation of that, because the commission approved that contract, they went ahead and ordered the mast arms, all of the supplies, and they've been storing them at their office. Well, I'm not sure where they're storing them, but they're storing them. So they've been fabricated and they're going to be put up. The question that was asked was, well, can we stop doing these mast arms? These are the last ones for the whole downtown. There won't be any more. Can you go back and cancel these 3? No, because it's already been approved last June and they've already relied on that approval and ordered the products, and they're storing them ready to put them up this spring. So no more mast arms after this.
Right, and so this commission, you said in June of 24, we all approved this?
June 5th, or no, sorry, June 24, 2024, yes.
Yes, okay.
There was a motion and everybody voted in favor of it for that contract and for a budget amendment for fiscal year 25-26 to cover that.
All right. Any comments on the budget resolution from the public, either in the room or online, using the raise your hand function? I see none. So we'll bring it back to the commission. Any comments, or would someone like to make questions or make a motion?
I have a comment, I guess. I really appreciate all the work you did, and I appreciate that you listened to us on some of the changes we wanted or suggested. And I don't want, I mean, it wasn't as if we did a thorough, review and said, it was like off the top of my head that I mentioned Cole Street and then somebody else mentioned Lincoln. What else? I mean, I could come up with 4 or 5 more if you wanted to, and it's almost like, well, had I mentioned Willits and Greenwood and Baldwin and Harmon and what was the one I was on today? Oy, it was awful. Would they have been added? And, I'm pretty sure not, because that would have been too many.
No, they wouldn't have been added, but Cole Street was a perfect one that you brought up as an example, and everybody agreed with, because the way that we have our current prioritization system, we look at the need for upgrades of water, need for upgrades for sewer, and upgrades on pavement. Cole Street doesn't need any infrastructure work underneath, so it would have taken a long time to come up just to be for the street to be done. So I think part of your other point was that maybe we should look at our prioritization process and how we determine and score each of these roads and find another way to do it so that in those cases where we have roads that are in rough shape on the top, but all the infrastructure is good, we find a way to move a couple of those forward every year. No, we can't do them all. We can't. But that was a perfect example of one that is not going to, wouldn't have been done for years because all the underground infrastructure was in good condition. So we did find the money for that.
Transfer from the general.
Wow.
I mean, we're spending it out of the savings account.
We are.
So,
And if I may, while I understand what Commissioner Baller is saying, and I agree with him, got to start somewhere. And I think that that road, Cole, for example, and the other roads here, heavy use, really bad. And I think that you'll start to see the community seeing that we are trying to address these within the confines of what's in our wallet and what we have to do, what we have to do it. But we are working as fast as we can to get these taken care of.
We absolutely are. There's a lot of work to be done.
Right.
And only so much money every year to do it.
And not part of this, but we shut down, it's like by Commissioner Host's house, I think, we shut down
Oakland. Today.
Which thank God, because I drive that almost every day, and it's horrible. I'm sure Commissioner Host does too, and I can't wait for that to be done. And please, when they do that, remind them they've got to stripe that differently, because every time I come into town from Woodward, somebody's in the left-hand turn lane trying to get into the go straight lane. Nobody understands that, both ways actually, across Old Woodward. So I'm looking forward for that to be redone and for people to be able to utilize it more efficiently.
and the commission has as a future agenda item, looking at the algorithm and the unimproved roads. We have roads are on the horizon, so. Other comments or questions from the commission? Well, seeing none from the public, none online, no more comment or discussion from the commission, I guess it's time for a motion.
I'll make the motion. We don't have, just for the city attorney, we normally, when we do this and we have pages and pages, we normally say including pages 1 through whatever. I don't have page numbers in 8C on mine anyway.
You could do page number 4 through
11.
10. No, sorry, 11.
Through 11 of 8C?
Agenda. Yes, of the
Okay.
agenda itself,
I'll
which
do
is
that.
part of the agenda packet, which will
Okay.
cover it.
Yeah, perfect. Mine didn't have those page numbers on for some reason, so I just, yeah, so, okay.
Is this going to be a long?
No, it's going to be very quick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to take a bathroom break while you
I'll make it quick.
pontificated.
I'd like to make a motion adopting the following budget appropriations resolution and establishing the total number of bills for the ad valorem property taxes to be levied for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2025, and ending June 30th, 2026. And that includes the budget appropriations resolution set forth on pages 4 through 11 of 8C of the packet.
Second.
That work?
Not of 8C, pages 4 through 11 of the agenda packet.
Of the agenda packet, well, I have 8C.
That's
Right.
the section of.
Oh, okay. Okay, then
Of the
pages
agenda packet, period.
4 through 11 of the agenda packet. Friendly amendment.
Second.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so wherein we have, the city manager submitted the budget for 25, 26. We've reviewed it. We held our public hearing. And now we have the motion to approve it. So with that motion and second, any comments on the motion from the public in the room or online using the raise your hand function? Any comments on the motion from the commission? None. Roll call vote, Ms. Bingham.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Host?
Yes.
Mayor Therese Long?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Long?
Yes.
Thank you. New business D, resolution to amend the schedule of fees, charges, bonds, and insurance for water, sewer, and stormwater surcharge, industrial waste charges. Again, Mary, thank you.
So each year, the city commission sets the water and sewer rates based on the approved budgets for the water and sewage funds. At the public hearing on April 26th, the commission reviewed the proposed water and sewer rates for the 25-26 fiscal year, and some of those were based on estimates because we didn't have the actual costs. Now we do. We received the final cost from Oakland County Water Resources Commissioner regarding the sewer fund. That's the one that's affected. The water rates remain the same as originally presented at the hearing. Just a quick reminder, so we adjusted the budget to reflect the changes in stormwater costs. But a quick reminder in regards to the water rates, those will increase for the average homeowner using 90 units of water per year, approximately $11 per month, or a total of $134 a year. For the sewer rates, the average homeowner will see an increase of $12 a month, or $145.80 a year. As stated earlier, the increase in the sewer rates is mainly due to higher costs with the stormwater rates and the means of the drains, the CSO drains. For the residents in the Evergreen Farmington Sanitary Drain District, they will see an increase of $3.68 a month, or $44 annually. And for those in the George Coon Drain, the fee will rise from $24 to $26, and that's about $21 annually, or $1.75 a month. These adjustments are necessary to cover the ongoing costs of maintaining the drain systems.
Commissioner Host.
Mary, could you explain how we arrive at these rates?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, so we do get the costs from the Water Resource Commissioner, and we pass them on to our residents.
Thank you.
That's a simple way.
Thank you, Commissioner Host, for clarifying for where the responsibility for these increases lies. Commissioner Baller.
Okay, I'm going to add a little nuance to his question. So, under water rates, and I want to make sure I understand this and everybody on the commission understands it. You say, so it's going to increase $1.49. Approximately $1.34 of that is related to increased funding for infrastructure improvements. And only 15 cents is related to increase in the cost of water. And you go on to say after the substantial increases this year and last year, the annual rate adjustments are expected to stabilize at approximately 6 to 7%. And the same statements are made with regard to sewer rates.
Correct.
So I have a couple questions and kind of a comment. First of all, how much money are these increases generating, and what is it based on? Is it based on a unit of water or what? In other words, an increase of $1.34 related to funding for infrastructure improvements. How much total money is that generating?
Oh, that was in the budget on that Saturday hearing, that how many millions it was. It wasn't a ton of money. It was.
Do you know the amount off the top of your head? No.
Okay, it's not super important, but I would eventually like that information for both water and sewer, because, the corollary to that is when you suggest that annual rate adjustments are expected to stabilize at 6 to 7. Well, that assumes a certain level of infrastructure improvement, right? In other words, does everybody get that? That this is going to generate a certain amount of money per year, and that the increases either will generate the same amount they generated this year, or more, or less, depending on costs, right? What I'm getting at is that we have transferred the burden of improving the water and sewer systems to the ratepayer and to the rates. And on the one hand, that's a good thing because it's not tax money. It doesn't contribute to the Headley gap. And, on the other hand, it costs everybody more. They're paying one way or another. If the commission
To clarify, though, we transfer them from property taxes to the ratepayers because of the lawsuit.
Right. For whatever reason, that was done. The point is, if we choose to increase the rate of improvements, if we decide at some point, which I personally hope we do decide, that we're not doing enough fast enough, that we're a little bit behind the 8 ball, that if we're in a situation where we're just trying to get enough water pressure to put out a fire, that we're probably a little bit behind in our improvements. And if that we're going to need more money, and that those rate increases may not be limited to 6 or 7% down the road if we say, hey, we need X amount of money, and you tell us, well, to get X amount of money, you've got to charge Y higher rates, right? So that's just something for us to keep in mind. As anybody reading this budget or reading this report on the budget, I would hate for them to take this as a promise that we will stop the rate increases, because we're not getting any money from the federal government, are we? Okay. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? All right, seeing none, motion?
I'll make a motion adopting a resolution to amend the schedule of fees, charges, bonds, and insurance for changes in water, sewer, stormwater, industrial surcharge, and industrial waste control charge rates effective for bills with dates on or after July 1st, 2025.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments on the motion from the public in the room? You can come to the microphone and state your name and address, or online, use the raise your hand function. I see none. Any comments on the motion from the commission? Ms. Bingham, roll call vote.
Commissioner Host?
Yes.
Mayor Long?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ballard?
Yes.
Commissioner Anthony Long?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, new business E, resolution to approve BCT Design Group schematic designs for the Garage Design Services Project. We have Mr. Ford. Yep.
Why is it so dirty? Why is it so ugly? Why is it so...
Should I proceed?
Yes, go right ahead. Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Okay. Good evening. So as we are here again today to bring back BCT Design Group to, continue our discussion about interior exterior designs of the Chester parking garage and really all 5 City of Birmingham parking garages. Quick background, if you recall, back in June 2024, the commission did approve RAM construction to proceed with repairs at the Chester garage. The repairs at this time were regarding more specific to structural, waterproofing, facade, and stairwell repairs. At the time, we did propose that installation of LED lighting and painting in the garage be included. After a lot of conversation, it was decided that the LED lighting components would be removed from that project, but the painting would stay in at that time. Along as a designer was hired and would have input as to what the paint color and style would be. In November of 2024, BCT was selected as the consultant for interior exterior designs. Included in their scope would be a variety of items, including new lighting, recommendation of fixtures, light temps, paint color, use of graphics, all different signs. We did have an approved contract with Corbin Designs, so BCT had to agree to use Corbin's designs, which Corbin was used for the wayfinding committee. So as long as they use those signs in the garage, that was like the one caveat that they have. We did present BCT's schematic designs to the APC at the APC's May meeting on May 7th. Most of the feedback from the schematic designs was very well received from the APC. They thought the proposed wood canopies over the vehicle entrance and pedestrian entrances was a good contrast, a nice warm feel compared to how the garages feel today. The only concerns that the APC really kind of brought up were that those canopies, they were kind of flat, so they had concerns that if it rained, what would the drainage be like on those canopies? Additional comments that they had was, as you'll see in some of the schematic designs, there was a rendering and proposal of potential use of banners on the side of the garage. The only questions that they really had towards those banners were what type of material would the banner be? The cost of the banners, would the banners potentially fade due to the sun? How would the banners impact light coming into the garage? And then how would the weather impact the banners as well? So BCT is in their contract. They are here to meet with you 4 times. They're in the 3rd meeting, the schematic design. And really what we're here looking for today is feedback and guidance from the commission and approval of the schematic designs and to proceed to the next phase. Here today is Brian from BCT and Darko, if you remember, who speaks more directly to the lighting part aspects. So Brian will walk you through the schematic design concept.
Thank you.
Thank you again for having us. Yes, so we're going to mostly just go through the Chester garage as we talked about last time. The big idea would be these concepts or schematic design elements would be also applied to the other parking garages. Obviously, each one has slightly unique capabilities, so we will need to modify them accordingly, but they'll have many of the same elements. So we can also looking for kind of the approval of the idea here, so we can apply that to those other 4 parking garages. So yep, existing picture of the Chester garage. We can skip this slide. Let's skip this slide. Yep, okay. So just as a reminder, the big picture that we presented in the last few times was, how can we add value? How can we add, elements of placemaking? How can we make the garage both feel safer, brighter, and more dynamic in ways that make the pedestrian within the parking garage feel welcome, have a sense of identity of like, is this the blue garage, green garage, as we've talked about before, and how do we reinforce those ideas of making sure people can get through the parking garage and know where they're at. So the images on the right, you'll see some of those original precedent images. It was adding pops of color inside the parking garage, adding elements of both the signage, opportunities for murals that create like a local sense of place, and just good lighting, both ambient lighting as well as kind of focal lighting to address both the elements above, but also to reinforce those ideas of safety and wayfinding. So we broke this down to kind of a series of vignettes that are kind of illustrated here. We'll kind of go through these individually. You're seeing each of the floor plans here. So there are elements where we are painting parts of the garage. As were previously mentioned, most of the garage will be white within the ceiling and most of the beam structure, and then accent those locations with pops of color, both in signage, but also in just large elements, and then opportunities for murals within the garage. We also did meet with the Arts Commission and kind of suggested those locations of how we could add some local interest. So we've identified those locations that we think would be right for that. They could also just be accent painted if we didn't want to go down that route, but that was the opportunities that we saw in the parking garage. Go to the next slide.
May I interrupt?
Sure.
Can you go back one? Sure. Because I think we all, I can't speak for anyone else. The stuff on the right is just representative of things you might do. The stuff on the left is what you're actually proposing, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I have a little, I don't know what that says. You got to help me
Absolutely.
a little bit
As
so
we
that
go
as we
into-
go on to the next floors, I know what's going on, because I don't quite get the dotted rectangle and the numbers and all that stuff.
That's
So,
fair.
Thank you.
Yeah, these plants here up front, so this package is doing double duty, obviously illustrating this today, but it's also illustrating, who's pricing and who's doing this. So each of these zones you're seeing here are the different items that we identify. We go into little vignettes where we show those in more detail. So as we get through the...
Later on.
Yeah, as I get through the presentation, we can go through the specific elements. I just want to give you kind of an overview of like the big picture here. So yes, the inspiration is mostly on the right. What you're seeing in the dotted lines is a blow-up area. The purple area is an area where we're showing those lighting schematics, the green elements, showing where we're painting these options. But as we go into the blow-up areas...
It's not to say that there's not going to be lighting throughout.
Correct.
It's just that's the vignette that'll come later.
That's correct. So we broke it down into lighting or interior painting schemes, a few exterior elements, and then lighting at the end of this package. We'll address some of those throughout the package, but that's kind of how we broke this down. So these first couple pages are really just like identifying, putting where we are in the package, and then showing where those blow-up areas are, which I'll refer back to in a second. So we can probably skip through these overall plans. Okay, let's actually go back.
Sorry.
Okay.
There you go.
Yep, right there. All right, so this is the first floor painting level. So this on the left is where you enter the garage, over there, from a vehicular entrance, and then you have the two larger glass stair towers on the corners. And, we want to identify where those elements were. Everything you're kind of seeing in yellow, we've kind of given a scope of painting, and then we've accented these few other elements. I was going to invite my colleague my colleague Ivan to come up and talk through some of the actual details on what we're proposing.
Hi, my name's Ivan. I'm an architectural designer at BCT Design Group. I worked on the previous packages, and I put this package together, which I'll walk through with you guys. If you look at the bottom, there's so the orange lines is where we're proposing murals. The green lines is where we're proposing the green that was picked as a theme by Corbin, and wayfinding will be utilized into those green colors. And the yellow lines is where we're painting everything white on the interior. So here at the vehicle entry, at the bottom left, we're proposing a welcome mural at the vehicle entry. At stair C, which is that stair in that area, we're going to be painting outside masonry walls, the green color with Corbin signage. And the beam above there will also be painted green. Over to the right at the staircase, that's staircase 2, we're painting the masonry wall with the opening to the elevator and the stair, the green color with the Corbin signage, as well as the wall that jogs around of the elevator shaft. All the ceiling treatments around the staircases are going to get this circular kind of paint on the ceiling, and that's going to be a theme throughout for all staircases, and that's supposed to kind of help with wayfinding for pedestrians. At the vehicle intersection, that green rectangle, we're proposing to give it a lot of color. We're going to paint the columns, the beams, and the ceiling, and provide nice big wayfinding signage so that traffic can find their way around the garage. Same treatment for the staircase number 1. And over to the right, the staircase that goes, I believe, to Maple Street, that beam is going to be painted as well with wayfinding signage for people to find that staircase, as well as that little circular thing. Next slide. So this is.
Do you want to skip down to show them the pictures, or you want to wait while you're doing all
wait,
this?
because we have also enlarged plans, and then those enlarged plans are going to help you to read the pictures. So this is lower level 2. Over on the right side, there's a dead end. Right now it's very dark, so we want to brighten that up. We want to give a lot of the walls in that little area murals. Same treatment around the staircase, where the masonry stair with the opening to the stair and elevator are going to get the green color with Corbin wayfinding signage. Same treatment for the ceiling with that circular paint. Similar treatment at the intersection, where we're painting all the beams, columns, and ceilings green with wayfinding signage. The solid yellow lines are at the walls. They mean that those solid masonry, solid foundation walls will get the white paint. What else is going to get all the white paint is all the ceilings, all the beams, and all the columns, except the columns and knee walls that are at the perimeter of the garage, where there are openings. They're already bright enough, but all the other concrete members are kind of stained and dark at the moment. So I think those should get the white paint, and those will help kind of brighten up the interior of the garage. So at the staircase C, similar treatment where that storage and mechanical room is below the existing office. Those walls will get mural treatment, and same treatment for the beam and the walls around the staircase C. Will also get the green treatment with Corbin wayfinding signage. Next slide. So this is lower level 2. So there's a lot more solid foundation walls. Those will all be painted white. I think those will be brighten up the space. On the left side, that solid wall will get a mural treatment, as well as the wall across from it, which is a wall into all the storage and mechanical rooms, I believe. So those will get a mural treatment as well. On the right side, similar treatment for both stair elevator lobbies, as well as the similar treatment for the vehicle intersection. Next slide. This is level 2. We're jumping to level 2 above grade. On the bottom left, we propose to paint that ceiling green, and that's going to be the ceiling that's right above the vehicle entry, and it's kind of going to give the vehicle entry more identity and to kind of help vehicles identify that this is the green garage. Similar treatment for the staircases with the walls with the openings to the stair and elevator painted green with Corbin signage, and that circular green treatment for the ceiling. All the interior will be painted white as well, except for the columns that are at the perimeter near the openings, as well as the knee walls near the openings. Those will not need to be painted. Next one. Similar treatment for level 3, except no green paint at the ceiling above the staircase. Next slide. This is the roof plan. So we will only be painting at both stair lobbies to the right, stair 1 and stair 2. We will only be painting the green walls and the inside, and the exterior wall of the elevator shaft will get mural treatment, and we think that those will be seen from the street, as well as mural treatment for the walls outside of stair C on the roof as well. And then at the 2 entries, we propose to paint those beams green above with wayfinding signage. Next slide. So these are the enlarged plans. These are showing painting scheme as well as some of the architectural interventions that we are doing. So if you see the drawing on the very left, that's stair on the first floor. So the green rectangle shows the canopy that we're proposing, and the theme of that canopy with the solid finish will continue into the interior and kind of hover above the pad at the entry into the stair and to the elevator. The orange, kind of slice of a pie there, means that all the members of the pre-engineered staircase are going to be painted one single color, and we think that color is going to be like a dark green, like a Birmingham green. And so you can see there, we're painting the masonry wall with the opening into the stair and the elevator, as well as that wall of the elevator shaft, and the green circle is the area of the ceiling that we're painting green with Corbin signage. The drawing on the top right is the typical stair at the lower levels. So similar treatment, except there is a masonry, concrete masonry wall that jogs the other direction, and we will be painting that wall with a mural. And that staircase will also have the same kind of ceiling finish that the canopy on the first floor does. So that will be kind of the theme of the ceiling for all the stair elevator lobbies throughout the garage for all the floors. And then the drawing on the bottom right is the typical staircase at the roof level. So same treatment, all the staircase, all the members of the pre-engineered staircase, rails, all the structural stuff is all going to be painted single dark green. And then same treatment at the ceiling. We're painting that one single wall green color with Corbin signage where the openings into the staircase and the elevator are. And we're painting the mural on the outside of the elevator shaft. So next slide. And these are kind of the 3D images that will show you how it looks like. So the image on the top right is showing you're entering the garage from the outside. I believe this is from Maple Street. Yep. So we're doing like pin letters on top of the canopy, and for the soffit finish, we're kind of doing like a wood finish, and between the slats, we're proposing just linear lighting. It's kind of in a staggered piano pattern, and that theme will continue to be above the entry to the stair and elevator. So you can see how we're proposing to paint the circle on the ceiling, and we're proposing to paint the theme a different color to contrast the signage that we're working with Corbin on.
I don't have one.
So at the top, at the bottom left, that's the staircase at the lower level, and you can see how that wall that juts the opposite direction is going to have a mural. And here we're kind of just playing with another different color maybe for the ceiling. I don't know which one we'll pick, but we'll see what we do. And then the image on the bottom right is the interior of the staircase. So that's showing all the structural members of the staircase painted a single color green. With the decal, you could kind of apply to the brick to show the pedestrians what floor they're on as they're using the staircase. And you're kind of hiding linear lighting behind the landing above to kind of illuminate that wall, and that will help illuminate the staircase tower and help it be seen from the outside. Next slide.
Oh, hold on. Can I interrupt you? And let's see if the commissioners have any questions about the staircases or the elevator towers. It's a lot of information to take in and a lot of drawings.
Yeah, and we didn't have these drawings, a lot of these, in our packet, so, yeah.
Can you give me Jason and Maureen's extra packet on
Yeah,
this
well,
paper
it's just the
one?
one. I'm only missing it for one. and it's-
Okay, so any questions?
Yeah. What, just in general?
No, about the staircases so far.
in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, mine is.
His is missing that
Mine doesn't have that.
He doesn't have the whole full packet. So any questions about the staircases? Anything anybody wants clarification on or doesn't understand?
Well, are murals part of staircases? I have a question about murals.
Yeah.
You've mentioned murals. You've used the word mural a lot of times, which tells me there are a lot of murals in here, correct? Do you know how many murals are in the whole structure?
Exactly. No, I do not know.
Any, like, ballpark? Are we talking 3 or are we talking 30?
Definitely more than 3. I would say probably around like 10.
Okay. And are these things, murals that you're going to supply, or are they going to come from the Arts Board?
I think the Arts Board, right?
Yeah, so they did meet with the Public Arts Board just for concepts, just to let them see the rendering. So they didn't see these specific plans, but they saw the original design packet that was presented to you last. So they have the general idea, but we would go to the Public Art Boards to get their input. They would pretty much design. They would be in charge of designing it, so we were
Well,
just
the
getting.
Public Arts Board doesn't design murals. And so my concern is that we get a finished product, that we're not waiting around for 10 years to get murals put where they told us to put murals.
Right, and that there has to be somebody who has a final call if the mural that's suggested is not in keeping with your scheme or your theme or whatever. I think that they could review them, but I'm not sure that they should be in charge of them. I know that the Public Arts Board in the past has had some suggestions that the commission did not agree with, like the crayon box for one of the mechanical, and so.
But they have the connections where
Right.
they know the people. They could put out, I think we do need a plan for getting these murals done. And maybe that's outside the scope, I don't know, of what, but certainly.
I think it is outside the scope of this project tonight. They're identifying a placement where a mural would make a nice statement. But we would go out and, for instance, the Public Arts Board, they have the kind, so they can put a call out for murals and have different people submit designs, and then they can make a recommendation to you, who can then decide which ones you want to
And then we
select.
would have to execute contracts with artists and et cetera.
Correct.
Okay.
So the moment, I would suggest the moment that we approve a schematic design, they are engaged so that they can
okay.
get moving. It's just my suggestion.
Well, and I think there's also still a decision about, you suggested murals in a lot of places. I heard you say if we don't pick murals for every place, you would use solid colors. So I think we need to refine how many murals and where in a more granular fashion.
Right. And I think we talked about that when we were going through the paint scope. On the lower levels where we are proposing murals, for the time being, those walls can just be painted the white color. And then when it is time for an artist to come and to do his craft, he will have like a blank white canvas that he can work on. So that way, there's not just going to be a random wall that's not painted, while the rest of the garage.
So we might have a schedule of mural number 1, location, size, right? And lit, are they lit?
They are.
Okay, great. So that answers my question about the murals. I have a question about stair tower members? I assume that's, what about the treads? That's my question.
Yeah, the treads are already scheduled to be repaired as part of the existing, they're essentially a concrete.
They're concrete and they will remain bare concrete?
Yeah, there's some risers there, I think you see, that are either, in some locations are steel. And anything that's steel would be repainted, green.
Yeah,
It's
all
not-
the concrete risers is part of WJE and RAM Construction's scope of work right now. In fact, most of them were just ripped out and replaced right now, but to your point, it is a generic concrete.
So it's not going to be painted? That was my question. It's not going to be painted? And then I guess stair towers or anywhere else, I mean, I think maintenance, one of the problems we've had is we haven't kept these garages clean. They get dirty, really dirty. So I don't know what, do you power wash the painted walls, surfaces? How, do you suggest to us how we maintain your beautiful creation?
we would hope you'd have a good maintenance package, but anything we're proposing is very durable finish, so it can easily be power washed or protected. We would hope they were routinely clean as any other building would be done, but I don't think we have a specific plan or criteria.
Okay, but it's something to consider that it's something we don't do now that I think
Well,
we're
we
all going to
do
want
that
to.
now, and maybe Mr. Ford can speak to that, because since we took the parking structure, all of the parking facility in-house, we have a person that's assigned for maintenance of every garage, each garage, correct? And they go out and they do a lot of this cleaning that wasn't really been done when it was farmed out to SP Plus previously.
Yeah, the
So we do a
power
lot
washing of
more.
walls and stuff, we already are starting to do, like high traffic areas, power washing of the floors. We'll contract it out because it's so much to do. One person with a power washer would take you forever. But contract that out. But the walls and stuff to that point, we can do it, yes.
All right, so any other questions particular to the stair or elevator lobbies? Otherwise, we'll let them move on. Continue.
Okay, so that image on the top left, that's the lower level elevator lobby, stair lobby, where there's the dead end. So that's where that big area that we're proposing a lot of murals. So we're proposing to paint everything, the ceiling, the columns, everything white, kind of brighten up the space. And this shot is taken from where the vehicle intersection would be. So that's where we're proposing to paint the beams, the ceiling, green, and provide wayfinding signage for vehicles. And similar at the bottom image on the right, that is also that vehicle intersection where we're proposing to paint the columns, the beams, and the ceiling green and provide nice, big, large wayfinding signage. And the image on the top right, that's just the staircase that goes onto Maple Street. So painting the beam, showing that that's the staircase that goes to, the two streets that are intersecting, as well as giving it that round paint treatment on the ceiling.
No, and I'll just add to the point you were making earlier, included in the current scope with Ram Construction is the painting of the garage white. So all these areas where the murals, as he's already stated, these would be white already and then they would come back, if we were to approve any murals, they would come back and paint the murals on top of the white canvas.
This is the enlarged plan of the vehicle entry. So that green rectangle represents the new canopies that we're proposing. On the right side, we're proposing to paint the wall of the office space with the welcome mural. And the same treatment on the right side with staircase C, painting the walls on the masonry walls outside the building with the Corbin signage. And that ceiling, that green circular ceiling treatment. So as you can see, that image on the top left, that's the 3D rendering. So it shows how we were planning to light the inside of the staircase C. It's showing the view canopy with pin letter signage of the garage on each canopy, and then the wall behind it, we're proposing to paint it kind of to illuminate it like a gentle green, so that way the pin letters come forward. And you can see on the second floor that ceiling is painted green, and that ceiling will be evenly lit, so that way the vehicle entry kind of gets a nice, unique presence. And so then the image on the right, you can see how the ceiling finish will be inside of the vehicle entry, so it kind of makes it feel like a lobby for cars. So we'll have the Welcome to Birmingham kind of painted below the storefront of the office, and maybe some kind of wayfinding mural on the masonry wall to the left of it. And that's the painting treatment that we're planning for staircase C. So wayfinding signage on the beam and painting the ceiling. And that's all I have right now. And then and then the other image off Maple Street. So we kind of wanted to break up that long facade. Currently, there's no trees or anything blocking it. So we're proposing to take one bay and to do banners that would be illuminated at night. These banners we think could be interchangeable. They could promote the city, or they could promote seasonal events at the city. I'm not sure what banners are made out of. I guess canvas or similar material to that. They should be durable. And then the other images to the right, this is how we're proposing to paint the one wall of the elevator shaft on the outside, and how we're proposing to paint the beam at the vehicle entry and exit points. And that's all I have.
Those are
right
both
now.
on the roof, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is on the roof, yes.
On the roof.
And that's a mural, right?
Yeah, all these murals are suggestive. We are not suggesting that this will be the exact thing that will be painted. We try to stick with the theme, but I don't know, we think that the artist would have good judgment on what they would want to propose. And these murals will be illuminated at night, and they would be seen from people that are using the roof, as well as pedestrians that are walking on the streets.
Okay.
And next, we have the lighting portion
Well,
of the package.
Before we get to the lighting, we'll take another round of questions from the commission and from the public if they have any. I had a question about the murals. Much like the advisory parking committee, I was curious about cost to manufacture and installation costs, because if you did one that's permanent, that's one thing, then there's questions about durability and light. But if you were going to try to rotate them several times through the year to advertise festivals or, movies or art fairs or whatever, I think we would like to know how much lead time is it to order one? What do they generally cost? And what's it cost to install one, if you have any of that sort of?
Specifically, we're talking about the banners.
Yeah, the banners. Excuse me, the banners. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they can be anything. There are metal versions, there are canvas versions. They can be relatively inexpensive, that they can be replaced seasonally or monthly if you wanted to go quite that quickly. The ones we're showing are quite large, so we would assume you would probably put these up.
I've had a little bit of experience with them. To his point, it can kind of be what we want it. In other words, if you want this to be more of a long-term thing, you can make them more durable and say these might get changed out once every 2 years, and they'll stand up more. Or if it's something where you want to put dates on it, we said day in the town is this date, Arts Fair is this day, the Santa Walk is this date, and you want to change it out more frequently, then it's going to be more of a, like you said, a canvas type of thing that gets replaced. But I think it's really probably, maybe we work with the BSD or something like that, who might put something out there and say how frequently, because a lot of that will depend on the cost, right? The longer term, it's going to stay up, it's going to be a more expensive item, but it stays up for a long time.
Right.
And what is your answer to the concerns about blocking light and visibility in the area?
Oh, and behind the banner itself? Yeah.
Right.
So, most of the time they can be translucent. They can also have some opacity to them. If you did want to do something more permanent, like a metal mesh that had this screen printing on it, it could be, fully open. There'll be so much light behind it now that we're painting it and adding the additional lights. We're not worried about the reduction
Right.
of light from the sun.
And the banners are sort of also outside your scope. They're just a suggestion for us to pursue.
Yeah,
or-
it was a suggestion. I think it was even a suggestion within this group as well. But it was a way also to break up the signage. Again, playing with those goals of how do we make it local, how do we make it identifiable, how do we make it visually interesting. Those also could be just additional murals. It's just the idea of how do we break up this facade and make it feel special.
Okay, Commissioner Long, you have a question?
I had more concerns over the murals. I don't know who the best, I don't know it's Aaron or Jana or, I would like to see the murals and the painting done relatively around the same time. I don't want to have us do all this great painting work and then have white walls that we're hoping that murals are going to get put up at some point in time. I'd rather, if that's the case, I'd rather have them painted, and then go back and paint over it. So I'm not sure what the timing is or the thought process of that. I know it's probably outside their scope of what they're doing, but do we have any thought process or discussions with is it the Arts Board that's doing that?
Yeah, I would defer to Aaron. You did go to the Public Arts Board about this. Are you anticipating, you would go out and you would have money for murals out of the parking fund, as soon as this project kind of gets underway?
Yeah, I think exactly. So the money for the Public Art Board, we commissioned them out of the parking fund. They were very excited about this, but I think they wanted to actually see how this meeting went before they dove too much into it, because I think it sounded like at one point in time in the past, there was some discussion about murals, and I think they wanted to make sure that the commission was on board. It approved the concept of murals before really diving into it. But yes, we would commission them based off your feedback, and then it would come out of the parking fund.
So could we do it relatively quickly? Yes, we could.
Yeah.
In the parking fund, we do have the funds available in there, and it could go to they could commission artists to do it, and then it would go to the Public Arts Board for the first pass at what mural would go where, and then it would come to you.
Right. I'm not I think it's, if I may, I'm sorry I wasn't done.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm not saying that it should be the day after the paint dries by any stretch, so don't get me wrong, but
you don't want 1 year afterwards.
I don't want a white wall sitting for a year and
Yeah.
they're like, hey, you guys did a great job for 75% of it, and the other 25% still sitting there, a year later or what have you. I would rather just paint the walls if that's the case, and then go back and do the murals as we do it. But if we can, have them done, a month afterwards or what have you, or some time frame that is not just that white walls sitting there and people wondering, well, why did they run out of money? Did they just only paint these walls and not these? I'd like the whole thing.
Well, you understand the walls would still be painted, right?
Right.
They'd just be plain.
Well, they'd be white, so you'd
Right.
have a series of green and what have you, and then you'd have these places that are white that
So maybe as it was recommended by Mayor Pro Tem Baller, a schedule that says potential mural size, location, and alternate color if not a mural. Maybe they're not all white, maybe some of them are light green or dark green or,
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem?
And then maybe it's the Public Arts Board who suggests, I'm assuming you're going to suggest murals in all of our parking structures, right? There's a lot of murals. I mean, it may be too many murals. I don't know. But maybe we have themes. Maybe they want to suggest themes. Maybe one is, abstract art, one is Michigan history, one is Birmingham urban scenes. I don't know. But, we need to be able to choose. It's a lot. So, yeah, that's going to require some
Organization. Right.
some work, hopefully on the part of the Public Arts Board.
Or, yeah.
And they may say, that's a lot of murals.
Or maybe graphics, like you had
Yes,
suggested,
graphics.
that overview of that map next to the office. Historical graphics may be easier to accomplish than that many hand-painted murals.
I had a comment about the banners, because they're near and dear to my heart. I'd like to see us use them. But the placement's really important, and there you have them on the south elevation, which does, that gets the traffic of the cars going in, and nobody's that far away from those banners because there's a building right across the street. Whereas on the I don't know, would it be the west elevation, the west side of the building when you're coming up the hill from the waterfall, and you see the deck up there, and there's not a lot of deck because it's right? But that gets tens of thousands of views a day, right? Likewise, the side along Maple. Maybe they're banners that are like that. Maybe they're banners that project on, right? But like we have them on some of our light poles, right? But we want like much bigger ones there.
They stayed away from Maple because Maple is lined with trees in the summertime, so essentially the east side of the building along Maple is almost non-visible during the summertime. But to your point on the
I thought that if
west
they're
side.
large enough, you would be able to see them from the library. That's like on that back corner.
You might, yeah, right, but we're talking traffic. When we want people to come to our farmers market or or maybe we want to afford someone who is putting on an event in Shane Park, the art fair or the village fair, and we say to them, you want a banner? Here's how much it costs. You can put it up. And they're going to want traffic. So seeing it from the library, it's Maple. Maple, and every deck has a side that gets a lot of traffic and a side that doesn't get much. So that's important. I don't know when that is figured out. Where the banners.
Sorry, may I ask a question? Do you think that would be in addition to the one we're showing or in substitution of that?
Probably in substitution. I mean, there's only so many, unless you're suggesting as an enhancement to the facade, an artistic enhancement to the facade, maybe a hint to what lies inside with the 20 murals, right? It's depicted on the banners there. But as far as announcing we had, I don't know, you weren't here, but there was commendation for this great event we had this weekend, which was our Celebrate Birmingham parade and everything. I don't think we had a banner up. We got people there. That was pretty cool. But had we had a banner, it's not just to advertise. It's to celebrate. It's to, celebrate the event, right?
Yeah, and there were people I saw in the office today who went to the parade and had no idea there was something in the park afterward. I was like, oops.
Yeah. So we want to use it to advertise, and we want to get as much visibility as possible.
I was just going to bring up your west side of the
Street view?
building, yeah.
On the west side, there's a building behind it.
What's that?
There's a building behind it, I think, on the west side.
We did get a glimpse of it, I think.
So, gentlemen, we've heard that they're having great difficulty hearing you because you're not close enough to the microphone.
Yep.
So,
Do you have anything else
We
before
are fine? Okay. We can jump to lighting if you'd like to the next section. Darko, you want to?
Hello, good evening.
so could you orient the microphone a little bit more towards you? Yeah, thank you. People are having trouble this evening with sound in all formats, Vimeo and Gable. Thank you.
All right. So my set of documents here are a little more crude, and that's intentional. And the reason I say that is we wanted to demonstrate how our lighting would support what they just discussed relative to general illumination and documents that had already been issued, but the lighting was extracted out of it, if you recall. And that's what this shows. On the right-hand side, we have the styles of linear lighting fixtures that will be used to support all the accent lighting, trying to keep the same family of fixtures so they would appear similar and not have a hodgepodge of different styles. But the red lines on the floor plan indicate where that would be located. For example, if you stop there, Aaron, that's the area in that rectangle that would have the beams, all the beams painted.
Right.
And those beams will be aligned with the light fixtures, continuous light fixtures all around it, okay? Idea being very clean look.
Do you want me to show this, Darko? I guess it's too many slides.
Well, you can, right there. Okay, for example, that's the area, right? So along where the ceiling meets the beam, all the way around the whole perimeter of that would be the linear light fixtures. That style of light fixture actually was a little bit of a challenge because there isn't a pretty linear light fixture that we could use, and I know one of the things we're trying to achieve here is nice aesthetic. So I had to do some searching to find a fixture that would be aesthetically pleasing, nice, clean, rectangular fixture, but comply with some of the things that I know parking decks encounter, and thank goodness you mentioned it a few minutes ago. Okay, if you're going to power wash a deck, you're going to get mist and spray, and light fixture has to withstand that. You're going to get hornet's nest, and you're going to spray it down, right, with a spray, and then come back and power wash it or something. The light fixture, you can't let the water into the light fixture.
Right.
Nor do you want to allow any bugs and tiny little critters to get on the lenses that you then have to clean. These light fixtures meet that. We can use them. They're not cheap.
That was going to be my next question. Left out affordable.
We're looking at, light fixtures like that. You're looking at, that's functionality of the fixture, of how it's constructed. And we're looking at probably between, $170 to $200 a foot. They have a lot of linear feet. And that adds up very quickly. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of this style light fixtures are not used for general lighting for the whole parking deck, because that would add up extremely quickly. At the far left, you see that straight vertical line right there, right? That's one of the areas on a lower level where murals were proposed. And we proposed to light them. So we can go to the next page, and you have similar, this matches what they were discussing, which beams we would paint. So we show lighting there, and we show rough linear footage of it so that we can associate the style of fixture with linear feet so that you can solicit, or however you want to get the correct, most accurate number to get good price for it. Let's move forward. Let's move on. This is the main floor, main entrance level, lower left, where it's shaded in blue. There, they show that staggered linear light fixtures right at the entrance. That's what we would do in that canopy area, but we would delete what the current light fixtures that we're showing there, the round light fixtures, right? It's also area where I talked about before that would have adaptation lighting, where we would need higher density of lights and a lot of brightness during the day. It will be dimmed at night, and that would be also used for illumination of that, whether it's graphic or mural along those office areas as well. So this gives you a really good idea of where we would need the lights to support the ideas presented so far. Let's move forward. Let's go to the next one, please. Thank you. This is similar. Let's move on. Let's make this, yeah, same thing here. If we get to the top floor, if you go back, there we go. There are some lights there that support, it's a slightly different style of light fixtures. And if you recall murals that they just presented, there were some for the banners along the bottom line. Yes. This type of light fixtures would be arm-mounted. They would protrude. They would be cantilevered from the wall. They would have specialized reflectors to throw light towards the wall and not all over the place. We would have that at the first floor shining up as well. We have significant height there, and only way really to cover it uniformly is from top down and from bottom up. Otherwise, it would just be too bright from one direction. To get good uniform light. Of course, we can do it from one direction, but it just wouldn't look as good, right? What I'm showing is proper way to do it. If you want to look really good, this is how you want it done. You can always go back and value engineer it if you need to. Also, you see those little dashes of red at the staircases on the right-hand side? That will be same method of lighting your murals for those walls where they had presented. Same style light fixture as well. At the far right, the style of light fixture is the one second from the bottom. You'll see it's a small, tiny little fixture because it's LED. I'm talking probably 2 inches by 2 inches. On a little arm, it's, well, substantial arm that holds it out, not bigger than the fixture, but it's made for that application. That becomes slightly higher cost fixture than the ones we've talked about. That one gets up into roughly $200 a linear foot. Okay. I would only use those on exteriors of the walls, on the interior in order to match all the other linear fixtures. That fixture I'm proposing has optics that can just light the driving lanes or whatever else, or graze the beams that we're lighting that are painted, or we can light the whole wall. It has optic in it that we can light the whole wall if the wall goes below the height of the beam, right? Like the staircases, for example. Is there any more slides? I don't know what was included in this, or just, okay, so this is enlarged plans, and they show layouts for the staircases that Ivan was talking about. At the far left, we see the staggered light pattern, right? That's that canopy that extends into the walkway. Those are, again, pendant light fixture. That will be the style of fixture that is third from the bottom on the right-hand side, something of that nature. If that canopy is open, we would incorporate uplight in it. If we're using that next to the canopy for some reason, it would have an uplight. But if it's in the canopy and the canopy is solid, then no need for that, right? Same style fixture is available with downlight only. So we would go through that and coordinate it, make sure it's right application. But the cost of the fixture remains pretty close for either method. Up, down, downlight, up and down, whichever we desire. As we get into the staircase itself, the triangular shape, if you want to go back for a second, on the lower left, we see the triangle shape and light fixture L-type LC. Again, it will be same style fixture, but it will be wall mounted. Idea of these is, if you recall, we're going to highlight all the vertical surfaces in that staircase so that from outside looking in, you would see lit up walls. It would kind of try to create that glowing lantern appearance from outside looking in through the glass. On the upper right, you'll see that they're much longer, and I don't know if you'll see, I think there were photos coming up, but there are places where we can have continuous fixture across the whole wall, but not all the places because there's a glass there. So that's why we wanted to show two distinct differences. The one on the left is where we have on the upper floors above ground. On the top right, I believe, is below ground, 2 levels. And that's where there's more linear feet of it down there to make it look the same. Along that curved wall of glass, you see 3 dots and OA, that's fixture type OA. That's where you have that walkway around the staircase, the metal walkway that you talk about painting and everything. That is to light that walkway. Those lights, it's very subjective whether or not you whether or not you have to have them. You may not have to have them because you'll have a significant amount of glow coming from the linear ones into that area. It's more of how uniform do we want that walkway? There's not a lot of them. I recommend that we put them in there and let's light those walkways. Intent of those is not to, it's not going to help glow the staircase because that light is purely straight down, and the cylinders on the top right corner kind of show the style of that. It's similar to what you currently have, but the current ones are massive in there. They're humongous. These are more like 4-inch diameter cylinders, right? And the intent is for them to disappear, but yet provide illumination on that horizontal walkway that curves along the glass. Oh, here we go. You want to go? What's before this? Go back one, please.
Just this one. I was just trying to show you the renderings of what you're talking about.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do that. There you go, right there. That's where those fixtures will be located above that area. You can see how far it is from adjacent wall. At the far right side, the red lines kind of indicate where we would put those continuous linear fixtures on the wall to light the wall, landings, and stairs. Those are the ones that will do substantial or significant majority of the work for the space. That far right corner up at the top, you see that the recessed light fixture, that would be removed and no need for it. That would get patched and painted. And then on the first floor, at the I might as well talk about it. This is only the deck that has this type of little walkover bridge that I'm aware of. And we thought it would be nice to, once that's finished and cleaned up, that would be a nice little feature to uplight at night, a little bit of glow below the walkway. Only a couple light fixtures. Again, they are same style fixtures. They're made to be wet, and we can uplight that. Aesthetically, it will be nice. Is that required? Absolutely not, right? That's something that we can think about down the road. Can you go back on the next? So this is roughly the layout for the entrance on the first floor, that staggered mounting of 4-foot, 8-foot, and 12-foot long light fixtures. That playful layout we discussed. The blue line indicates parameters of the new canopy ceiling. And you notice to the left where the driveway is angled, I thought it would look better if you use same style light fixtures to emphasize that angle coming out of the racetrack, so to speak, and keep them linear so that all the round fixtures kind of happen beyond that once you get past the canopy inside of the deck. And then at the top left, you see that LC, that will be lighting the proposed mural on that side of the wall. I'm not having dedicated lighting for a mural along that angled part of the wall because there will be substantial illumination from rest of the lighting in that space that'll illuminate that. We also have flexibility to shift those fixtures if we need to be a little bit closer to that wall. But I didn't think there was need for that wall to have specific mural lighting by itself. Let's move on.
That was it.
That was it. Oh, so that's lighting. Emphasizing everything we talked about, very clean way of doing the lighting to really make the colors pop, right? There are some areas that we can leave as we talked about, where we have those general ambient lights, those round light fixtures with a little bit of uplight. And, you know, you will see the painted surfaces with that alone, but it's not going to pop. It's not going to stand out. It's not going to create that here, come this way type of look that this does. So this is like ideal lighting that I know will look beautiful, and it will support every beam that we want to emphasize with light at night as well as during the day. That's that.
Commissioner Host.
Brian, Ivan, Darko, Aaron, fantastic.
Thank you.
I concur.
So it seems like we would need to make a decision on how many murals, so you can adjust the lighting plan, because if we're not having that many murals, you don't need that many mural lights, or?
That is correct. If we add murals, we would add lights. Yes. Yeah. Either adding them or shifting locations. If you just shift locations, that would not change that much. The hardest part of this was trying to figure out how do we account for some of the labor associated with installation of the lighting, because the original bid for the lighting includes all the extra things, right? You need to run conduit, curve the conduit, boxes, extra bracket, shim this, shim that, right? The original price included all that. And when we delete those light fixtures to replace them with some of the linear fixtures that we're showing, I don't know how contractors account for that cost, right? All of that is still going to be needed for this. So I would imagine that when this is requoted, that cost of this would be more of a cost to just add light fixtures, and labor cost wouldn't be that much greater than what it was previously for that portion of it, because all of that was accounted for already. So that was kind of the biggest challenge for me. So I couldn't give you a number for labor or anything like that for that reason, because I feel like I would be so far off, and I would hate to misguide you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Can we talk about the process? Look, you began, what do you want from us?
Right.
Once you have whatever you want from us, what's the next step? And, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we were brought in to do design, exterior design, interior design services, and we believe that this package kind of completes that element, right? Where we're suggesting here that this is what we think would improve based on the goals that we brought to you in the previous view. From that point, I think we need to think about, and we've talked on the side, like how do we incorporate that either into the existing work that's already being done, or these additional packages that get either added to the future garages or bid separately. From there might be opportunities to do some BE if there's too many of these locations, or if we need to dial back the numbers, specifically when we talk about number of lighting fixtures. If there's opportunities to do that, we can certainly do it. But the elements we've shown you today, we think are the elements that you should proceed with, or proceed with comments. So we've expected we would come back to you with any revisions to this package, and then the additional parking garages either being similar to this or incorporating those comments for review. Does that answer your question?
No.
Not really?
No. No, let's keep it simple. We've made a few comments about, the murals. Nobody's really commented much on the lighting. I don't think you said, but maybe I heard something that sounded like to me like you're done, but I don't think you're done, right? You're not done, right? You have more steps.
We've completed, I believe there was a phase of schematic design for this parking garage. We need to obviously complete that for the additional garages.
Okay, do you go beyond schematic design?
That was within our scope, was to do schematic design, and then we have a phase that we are basically helping to coordinate whether that gets into another person's construction documents, or we give you fees to do additional detail for the elements that we think may need additional detail. We think from the painting scope, that can be incorporated into the current drawing sets that you already have. Lighting could be either a vision done to the drawings that are already out there. The canopies, I think we'll need some more additional details, so if that's something we want to consider going through, we can provide additional detail to that. But it was, we were giving the ideas of what to do because we weren't sure of what was wanted to be in these projects to begin with.
Maybe I'll try
Please.
to put this into simpler language, right? Think of this as a conceptual design. We went from, hey, we need to do something nicer to the deck. Let's take it out of the Chester deck and let's put the design package together. This group was hired to do schematic design. So basically an overall design. You can take that and then you can pay someone else to do detailed construction drawings, detailed design plans to then go and bid it out.
Or they could do it.
Or they could do it.
But it wasn't part of their
But it wasn't
initial
part of their original contract, right. So this is to get everybody on the same page for the design concept for the Chester garage, and then use that, and then have them do a similar design concept for each of the other garages. His point is, some of this stuff is easy, and if we're just talking about the sections of green ceiling and the sections of white walls or green columns, that can probably be incorporated into the contract that we already have for the other work, because painting was included. Remember, we took out the lights. The lighting would probably have to be bid out separate.
Okay. And what about the architectural interventions?
Like
Mainly.
the canopy.
The canopy.
Right.
Canopy, you're going to need detailed construction drawings for that before you could bid it out.
And we can't get just take a flyer on what you think it would cost to produce and light a canopy like that before we got detailed design construction drawings? I mean, do you have experience where you've done similar canopies in other?
We do. I mean, yeah, if you're looking for just like order of magnitude, we could use other projects as a reference, but we also do have
Is it
contract.
$50,000 or $300,000? I mean, I think the commission, before we pay for,
Yeah.
we would like some idea about orders of cost and do you have to have graphic standards for painting the wayfinding signage on the beams, or, I mean,
Yes, we would need to do that, or we would need to work with Corbin to update their package to do that as well. Yep.
so if we say we love it, or we like it, and we agree that you should finalize, then, yeah, how do we move to implementation? Even painting the circle on the ceiling is there a diameter on that somebody can scale out and figure out?
Yes, there would have to be.
How much
Yes.
paint that is? Yeah, and you've identified the colors, but, I mean, I think we do need, especially, the lighting. It's like, at this point, the commission has no idea what the lighting package would cost for the Chester deck.
So to your point, this garage in particular is a little more complex because we've already got the ongoing work. So to your point, we could incorporate the painting and some of the stuff as a change order to the existing contract and try to get it in there capitalized. Or we could pay BCT or somebody else to do the construction drawings and do the extra painting, the lighting, the canopies as a separate standalone project that would be completed at a completely separate timeline than the current one. I think our goal is to now take their items and incorporate, moving forward, the other 40 garages when we bid out those repair projects. So again, Peabody being the next garage we intend to do, we would have these approved designs, we would get the construction drawings, those would be bid all at once. When we do Peabody, we're taking all these design concepts as one thing rather than separate, but obviously Chester is unique because, we're already 3/4 done with the ongoing work.
So from a cost standpoint, does you have an idea whether to incorporate the painting as a change order versus, and whether these painters are skilled enough to do this?
Well, there's two levels of painting. I think what we would incorporate as a change order would be your basic painting. White walls everywhere, green ceiling in places where it's defined by beams, green beams where not the circles.
The white is in the contract already with RAM right now. The white is in there. So right now, if that repair project completes, everything will be white. We did get a number for painting the green accents. Now, it's not just the green accents, the circles. It was painting the stairwells you saw. Not sure if you saw in the renderings, but the stairwell that isn't the green they're proposing. They're talking about Birmingham green. This is like a faded in the sunlight type of thing. And then all the handrails, that's a $430,000 job.
But those are rather more simplistic in that you don't have to go out and have more detailed design drawings
Correct.
to
We
say,
could do
go
that too.
paint the railings Birmingham green.
Can you go back? I thought when we said time out, like go ahead and do the structural repairs, but hold off on the painting, or did we not say hold off on the painting?
No, we left the painting in, but we said the color was to be selected by the design group.
Okay, so
So the painting,
colors, just changing the color is going to cost $400,000?
no, the basic painting the garage white
Is $400,000.
is in the original contract. Just, you have to tell them what color you want.
So there's no increased
The whole-
cost associated with telling them different colors?
With
colors
just
other
the
than white.
base layer of white, as
Right.
if they were just doing like the base, like a bare room.
Base layer of white is not all the accents.
Right.
That's what costs $430,000.
And was the painting of the stairwells and the railings in the original contract, or no?
No.
No, see, that's the extra.
Okay.
Yes, so
And
this-
like the
It's all the, like,
beams, you know,
fill.
that we might paint to put the lettering on.
This stuff
that
right
kind of
here,
thing.
like these beams where they're green right here, the circle right here, this circle's like this stuff, this is the green accents that we got pricing for. This is the $430,000. So it's this, these beams, the circles, these beams right here, painting the ceiling green right here, otherwise it would be white. So all the white is included in the current scope. All these green accents on the beams, the half circles, all that stuff, plus the stairwells that you see,
And the railings.
these like stairwells right here, and the railings surrounding the exterior garage. All that green added together is $430,000. That doesn't need construction documents, that just said, if you said, go, we want it done tomorrow, when they paint everything white, we could do a change order to the current contract, and that could be done. But that's not solving our mural question or the lighting question or anything like that.
Correct. That, the lighting would have to be bid out separately, because we removed that from the deal.
And that was so long ago, our pricing has changed.
Right.
I kind of feel like you got your work cut out for you here. Like, we're going to say, we kind of like this, right? Maybe some value engineering eventually will take place. Like, you know, to me, the entry and that first floor and the exterior are super important, and the stairwells and all that. But murals in the deepest, darkest part of the, you know, maybe we do without that. I don't know. But I think you have to take this
Absolutely.
and come back to us and work with them and do whatever. Our job, correct me if I'm wrong, is to say, you know, we like this. Now, my comment on this is that, you know, I didn't see some of these pictures. Pictures are great. Pictures tell you what it's going to look like. All these diagrams, they're very difficult. Like, they give us engineering drawings of streets and sewers, and it's like, can't deal with that. So part of me is a little disappointed there weren't more illustrations of what this would look like. But the other part of me, like, we've been impressed with everything you've done up till now, so there's a high degree of trust in this. When I say I like it, I'm trusting your professionalism and a lot of what I've already seen up to tonight going into that judgment. I don't know about my colleagues here, but so, and then I just think it's up to the city manager to figure out the process for making it happen, given our desire to make it happen and, you know, and do it relatively quickly and not too extravagantly. So that's my comment.
Any other comments from the commission?
Just briefly, I did have a hard time tonight following along with the pictures are great from I think a commission standpoint. I question, I'd like to know what the benefit would be to push forward with a change order, what the cost of that would be versus a standalone contract. I hazard to guess that the latter would be more expensive than the former. So I'd like to hear more about that so we can make a financially,
Well,
responsible.
you got a price on the change order, right? You said roughly 430,000.
Correct. So there's there's a lot of moving parts to all this. So the 430,000 is just the accent greens that you saw. However, it's not going to give you, so you have the painting of the green, you have the lights, but then you also have the existing already approved Corbin designs that we kind of instructed BCT to take into effect, which are not so much these right here, the stairwell C. So included in the painting scope is not saying stair C. These are like graphics that would be attached.
Just the green beam.
Just the green beam. So we've talked to, we have Corbin, where's the.
So there's a good
lower level.
example, Aaron, right there.
Yep.
So what we're saying is we could easily incorporate the base layer, the base white and the base green, dark green beams, light green ceiling panels into this contract, but we couldn't incorporate all of the wayfinding and the nomenclature and the fonts and all in the proportion because we would have to do more detailed design work on that to go out to bid.
And you have a good handle on it.
Yes,
And
yes,
that's
we
all
can absolutely do
That's pretty
that.
much, I think, all we need to know.
And that would be added after the fact, right?
But it would be done expeditiously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just, we're striking while the iron's hot with Rand in there doing this painting, because they're going to paint everything white, so we could say, not only are you painting this white, but paint this green.
When's the painting scheduled to start?
Soon, Sarah, what? Was that 4 weeks?
Okay.
Yeah, with the white. They're starting in the basement.
And you're specifying which white?
We are. There's some samples downstairs. We're going to verify those. And
I was waiting for that.
You gotta have
A lot of whites out there.
Yes.
What color is your house?
One other comment with the murals, I would like to, for us also, when this comes back, to know, are we going to do 4 per structure? Are we going to do 10 per structure? I think we need a plan with regard to that so that we can paint the rest that we're not going to do. Right now.
That's what I asked for, a schedule
Yes.
and an alternate color if it's not a
Correct.
mural.
Okay. all
Which
right,
is
fine.
great, because
Okay.
that way we'll have an alternate color.
That's a great
and
idea.
Some
Okay.
should be white, some should be light green. I can tell you right now that I don't think there's any appetite or affordability for 15, or 20 murals per deck.
Per garage,
Right, I agree.
Per deck. We just,
Unless they're donated.
Yeah.
But there are places where you might want to have an architectural enhancement here and there.
Or a graphic, which is,
Or a graphic, which Corbin can design and spec out.
But if you have one that's donated and the wall is light green, then they paint it white and they put the mural up. So, I mean, that can be done after the fact.
Right, and when you say mural, that doesn't
Yeah.
mean someone's going to go there and hand paint the whole thing.
Right.
It could be Corbin designing some kind of vinyl graphic.
Right.
Like a picture, instead of somebody hand painting it.
Okay.
so you didn't, Nat?
yes.
You didn't get that deep into it to think about a theme for the murals, or, I've been in some places where you see this amazing perspective drawing, that makes it look like there's a hallway or a street, but it's not there. You just said, this might be a nice place for a mural.
Yeah, that was part of that discussion with the arts group. There was a discussion too. Should we be theming these? Should we be coming up with an idea? Our intention was it should be local. It really should be, we think, defined by the artists and the community that want to be involved in painting that. I mean, it should be the expression of the place that we're trying to create. So
Kind of got you off.
I don't think we necessarily want to dictate what those are. We just want to locate them.
You don't dictate anything,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But
Yes.
suggest, but
Yeah.
so you didn't. You kind of left it to,
Correct.
we could say, no, we want you to go further and be more prescriptive.
Good.
What they've said is, here's a great spot where something
Right.
of impact could
Yes,
go.
Right.
All right, any other comments, questions? Any questions or comments from the public? In the room or online? Use the raise your hand function. I see none, so bring it back to the commission.
He's nodding his head. You,
Well,
I don't know if this is his project or.
Well, he's overseeing it, yes. I do think, though, that what we're looking for is a resolution to approve this schematic design so that they can wrap it up and call it a schematic design for this deck and then proceed to the next step to do it for the other decks. At the same time, we will also then incorporate it, the selection of colors and placement of colors into upgrading or amending the contract that we have right now.
Yeah.
The base colors included.
It's
They'll dictate what, they'll specify which white.
And yeah, I already saw the greens are specified in there, yeah.
And as far as these guys go in their contract, they still have these other decks to do, right?
Correct.
Okay. But
But if this is a good, if you like this and this is a good system, they'll use a
Right,
similar
rubber
system,
stamp.
but maybe different colors or different.
Yeah, Corbin, every garage has its assigned color. And they'll
Right.
take these concepts and apply it everywhere.
So the green came from Corbin?
Yes, they are. There's a couple shades of green, right.
Remember that wayfinding plan and the signage package?
This
Yeah,
garage is identified.
in the handout, it says Corbin Green 1, Corbin Green 2, Corbin, yeah. So,
And they might have blue, Corbin blue 1, blue 2.
Correct.
yep.
Pink.
In their
Purple.
specific
I don't think there was
Orange.
pink.
Nope, no
Orange,
pink.
red.
Yeah, there was orange and
Okay.
purple and, all right, would someone like to make the suggested resolution? Oh, Commissioner Ross.
Madam Mayor, are we suggesting that we go ahead and issue the change order for the Birmingham green to go into the Chester?
Does that have to come back
Garage.
to us as a separate item?
It depends if we'd have to do a budget amendment for it or not. Mary? We would probably, right? Yeah, so we would have to bring that back separately. You
Yeah.
could go ahead and direct them to select the color of the white and get them going on that, and then we can bring it back at the next meeting with direction to go ahead and do a change order to amend the contract to do the
Right.
greens.
How big a deal would it be if you wanted to get a competitive bids on the change order?
Well, then you're
Then
delaying it.
it's not a change order.
And it's not a change
What would be
order.
a change order for the,
It would, this,
they would bid what they've, presumably.
I will say, when this contract, the repair project was bid out, all three bidders used the same painting company.
well, that's
The same what?
good.
Painting
Used the same
company.
painting company to quote it.
So,
I just feel like they might feel like they have us in a corner and they can say whatever they want as a price on a change order. What are we going to do?
There might be some value if you bid out all the painting, meaning all the white, all the green, everything. So if you pulled the white out of the current scope and you did everything, I think we discussed this a little bit before our meeting, but then you're pulling the white out of the current project and.
Right, and that contract's already been approved.
it
right,
has-
and it's not going to get done in 4 weeks,
Correct.
because then it goes on to Mitten, and then
Right,
we
and it
get
has to go
bids,
through a
and then, yes.
process, and it's 2 to 3 months.
Yes. So,
Can I make a motion?
yes, please.
I'd like to make a motion adopting a resolution to approve BCT Design Group to complete the schematic design phase of the interior and exterior parking garage design services project, subject to and with the inclusion of the City Commission's feedback and direction.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Comments on the motion from the public in the room or online using the raise your hand function? Comments on the motion from the commission? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, doesn't that need a?
It's not a cost.
Yeah.
There's no cost.
No cost.
It's free.
Okay.
It's previously paid for. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I can hardly wait to hear how much the lighting's going to cost.
Well, remember, it's an enterprise.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Mr. Dupuy, now we have the wayfinding and gateway signage fabrication and installation. New business F. Yes, thank you.
Great, hello again, Nick, Planning Director. This request is twofold. One, I'm looking to extend an agreement that we've got with ASI Signage Innovations, just to hopefully a little bit longer so that they can wrap up their fabrication of 4 total signs that we've got in the process now. Part 2, a conversation that I'd like to have with you and a request to electrify the 2 gateway signs on Woodward. I thought it was important to note that, I'll go in a little more detail, that this is not at all an ASI problem, not even close. If you could pull a flaw out, it's that they're being painstakingly careful with the designs, building the models that I told you about last time, inviting us out to review the models, tweak them as we see fit. They're taking great care to make sure that we like it, and I genuinely feel as though they're having actually a really great time. I've been told a number of times that they're super glad to be making a sign that isn't a rectangle. So they are very detailed and very thorough. So I note the complicated design, though, based on all of the angles and the spires, has been tough to put together, but they seem to have got their designs all nailed down. We also do have our permits in with MDOT. We're just hurry up and wait kind of thing. We reach out from time to time to look for updates, but we can't authorize ASI to build the sign until we get the MDOT approval, the 2 gateway signs, that is. Although we remain optimistic, you just never know. That is to say, though, the other signs, the kiosk signs, we are ready to fabricate, so those will be in the process shortly. But to accommodate time for the gateway signs and MDOT permit, we're asking through November for that extension. The electrical was a little bit of a wild card for us. We did take a little bit of a detour while we were fabricating the signs and going through the different iterations of the scale models. And it seems like there's really only 3 options to electrify the signs. One, for the most extreme, as I understand it, would have to be to horizontally, directionally drill under Woodward to find the closest electrical source, whether it be a power pole or what have you, and connect to that. Sounds crazy, it is crazy, and very expensive. There's, of course, DTE streetlights that run the median. We did reach out to them and say, hey, could we please connect, or could we? And they said no, which isn't surprising. Forgive my language, but it's sort of a lame excuse. They're not metered, so they don't have a way to, sounds like they don't have a way to charge us for it. So, no, thank you. But actually, the third option, I think, was something we were always hoping to do, which is solar power. It's sort of common up and down Woodward. You can see the ones just south in Royal Oak. It's just a simple, like a 2x2 solar panel, powers their LED signs. There's not a lot of draw that these signs require anyways, with a minimal amount of LEDs. So we are recommending that you go that way, or recommending you consider going that way. I did get a quote from ASI Signage Innovations. I did also reach out to 4 other electricians. Half of them don't do solar work like that. The other half failed to give me a quote. So not only is, I suppose, the ASI avenue a convenient one, because we're already under contract with them, but it appears to be competitive, all things considered. So the request, again, is twofold. One, to extend the agreement to November, and to the small budget amendment, 42,312. That is 42,312 to electrify both gateway signs. And that's the summary I've got for you. Of course, happy to answer questions.
Any questions for Nick? None. All right. I think lit signs are important, so a motion then, please.
Make the suggested resolution.
Second.
All right. Any comment on the motion from the public in the room or online using the raise your hand function? I see none. We'll bring it back to the commission. Any further questions or comments? Roll call vote. Ms. Bingham.
Mayor Long?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Long?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ballard?
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
All right, we now move to new business G, resolution to protest the Oakland County Board of Commissioners increase for the assessing costs. Ms. Ecker?
Yes, I'll just give you if you recall, you heard on the day of the budget hearing on April 26th that we were notified by Oakland County at the very last minute that they intended to increase the charges per parcel that they were charging us for using the Oakland County assessing department instead of having our own assessing department. Mary Chavez touched on it when she did her budget presentation this evening. That came in. They didn't give us any notice. They did it at the last minute. Our contract's expiring at the end of June, so we really don't have enough time to look into other options and see if there's a cheaper way to do it, or contract out with somebody else, or consider doing our own in-house, et cetera. So there was, on the day that happened, they gave us notice, I don't know, literally a week's notice from the hearing that they were going to consider it. And so we did send Ms. Chavez and Assistant City Manager Clemens did go to that meeting. All of the communities, almost all, I can't say every single one, but the vast majority of them that were getting this increase attended and protested it at the Board of Commissioners meeting. They did approve this increase. So the other communities are asking, is this something that we would want to do a resolution in support to try to pressure the Oakland County Board of Commissioners into either delaying this or doing something else. So there's been some discussion up there that maybe they would hold off for 6 months and give everybody a little more time to look into other options, since they didn't give much notice. So this is a question, this is a resolution. Do you want to consider approving this resolution to show that you're protesting the fact that you were given very short notice on this? And of course, we were right at the end of our budget proceedings, right? So, which they know that most of the communities are under the same fiscal year that we are. So everybody's kind of up in arms. So this resolution that's in here, I did want to say one change, which would be in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8th whereas statement. Yes. And this is my mistake. There was a little bit harsh language in here, so we toned down some of the language. But in that 8th whereas statement, I missed the word loathsome. I think we should take that out.
Yeah, we want to pass with a lack of.
It's a little harsh.
This template was provided by another community that's shopping it around to all the other communities. So yeah, we want to take out the word.
I missed taking that out. We changed some of the others. So basically, do you want to sign on and do this resolution to show them that you want to change, that you want them to reconsider this action, or not? You don't have to.
We have a county commissioner, right?
We do.
Yes.
And Mr. Cavell, in fact, called today and said that he was interested in coming to speak to us. He was one of the commissioners that voted against this. He was outvoted.
He was there, and he could comment on the reasoning.
He doesn't agree with it, but yes, he voted against it, but he was outvoted.
Right.
I thought it was strongly worded.
This language?
To the point that I would not approve it without knowing the facts.
Okay, well, Mr. Cavell is coming on June 9th to give a little discussion.
Want to hold off until then?
Me? I would.
Yeah, I think from what we heard, the issue is that the county is assigning all their costs for this work to the communities as if they got no benefit. And the communities are saying, but you get a portion of the taxes that are assessed and collected, and you should bear some responsibility for providing this service because you benefit from it. And this is a policy change on their part that we were not included in the discussion.
And I will say that when Mr. Cavell comes, he will also tell you that the union for the employees in that assessing department up there is also protesting this because they are concerned that this came up. I don't want to get into it because I wasn't at the meeting, but they're concerned that this is being done as a way of essentially the communities will leave and they'll end up laying off some people.
All right, well then we wanted, if it's there's no reason we have to do this tonight.
There's not.
If we want to pend it until we hear from Mr. Cavell, we can do that.
I think we should.
Yep, and he would like to come on June the 9th, so.
We will take no action on it tonight. Okay. commission items for future discussion. A motion is required to bring up the item for future discussion at the next reasonable agenda. No discussion on the topic will happen tonight.
I have one. I was
Okay.
going to bring it up last time, but it was so late, I wasn't going to put you through it. I have a number of individuals that I've run into over the past 4 or 5 months that work in town. They're waiters, waitresses, busboys, what have you, that wait in town. And we're starting into the summer season where we have college students and what have you coming into town and working for our restaurants. And they start their day with, a $10 or more fee for parking. I would like to see some type of arrangement with our restaurants and stores and what have you, where there is some type of subsidy or what have you for these workers. And maybe they have to park at like the very top of the parking garage, at the way back that's, not used. There are other towns that cannot get workers because they come from out of town and they can't afford to come here and work. And I think that we want to obviously encourage people to come and work at restaurants and what have you. So I was going to make the suggestion that we look into, I don't know what the nuts and bolts would look like. I don't know what the discount would be. I don't know how you would do it through, like, maybe you give 4 or 5 per restaurant and they have to, jump through some hoops or what have you. But I would like to see some type of program where the city provides a subsidy for people who are working in the city. I'll leave it at that.
Second.
That would take some thinking because you started out by saying seasonal college workers.
I lumped everything in together. I was not limiting it to seasonal college workers, but there's a lot of people who will not come and work in the town, just like this down in the city of Detroit too, will not come because they don't want to pay the parking.
This is step one.
Yeah, this is step one.
we're not going to talk about it.
You've done a good job. You've
Yep,
done a good
okay.
job. He seconded it.
All right, so then we would have to have more detailed discussion the next time around, how you distinguish between like well-established
worker.
law firms and so
Yeah,
forth, so,
right.
and
Right.
how you don't discriminate based on that distinction, but, okay. So we have a motion, we have a second, all in favor of?
Sure.
Sure.
All right.
Okay. Nay? All right, so,
Me.
Baller, Commissioner Baller.
No offense.
No
All
offense
right,
taken.
any others? All right, then we had commission discussion on items for a prior meeting, which was the resident survey. Because Commissioner Haig is absent, we're going to carry that over to the next meeting. Removed from consent agenda, we have none. Communications, we have a variety of letters on the Community and Senior Center, Wimbledon, Bird, and leaf blowers that are in our packets. Commissioner reports, we have notice of intention to appoint to the Architectural Review Committee, notice of intention to appoint to the Historic District Study Committee, notice of intention to appoint to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Commissioner comments?
I have I don't know if it's a report or a comment, but Commissioner Emmerine and I attended the How Water Works seminar at the Oakland County Water Resources Commissioner, and we met, what's his name?
Jim Nash.
Jim Nash, great guy. A really nice team. They seem to work very well together. Gave us a great explanation of how water works. One thing that surprised me that I did not know, I had read about Florida and how they had to sort of drain the swamps in Florida to make land. That is what Michigan was like. So the reason we have drains is because there was water everywhere, and they had to get the water, and they dug these drains back in the, early days. Anyway.
And water in our basements.
Yeah, right. Anyway, I think it was in one of the reports tonight that he may be doing the next
Workshop?
We have reached out to him to see if he could come and do, I think a couple of you had mentioned that it would
A
be
year
good to
ago,
get-
he asked to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're waiting, we haven't got a response back to him, from him as to whether he can do it on that date, but we're trying.
And he was going to address stormwater right? Yeah, so, yeah. And I made the suggestion, partly because I see it almost every day, the pump house or whatever it is in Linden Park, that maybe, they thought it was a great idea to come over and have an open house there for the community and show them what the heck that thing is. Because I don't think people realize there's the equivalent of about a 6-story building under Linden Park holding, I don't know, 5 or 6 million gallons of water when it rains. And then this beautiful structure that somebody designed and we had the good fortune to have built is there. I think a lot of people who walk by there, if we
Have
put a
no
sign
idea.
up
Yeah.
and offered them hot dogs, it would be a great idea, which they're willing to do. So that's my report.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments or reports? All right, advisory boards, committees, reports and agendas, legislation, city staff. We have the third quarter budget report and the third quarter investment report for your perusal. And with that, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.